Hey, that was too loud. Sorry. Hey, welcome to Shaker Heights. Experiences may vary. We're here on a Wednesday night. It's a full moon, or no, new moon, and we got somebody that is not on social media, but she's repping class of '86 to the fullest. I'd like to bring to the stage, live and direct from the Avalon Rapid Stop. We can do that again. That's fine.
Jump the gun. Sorry.
Yeah. I'd like to bring to the stage Laura McKelvey.
Hi.
Hello.
The rest of my last name didn't show up. It's too long.
What is your last name officially?
Sincermus?
Sincermus.
Yes. I
Like
can't say it with the
sincerely.
accent that my husband has, but
Oh,
Greek.
Okay. Greek. Okay.
Yeah.
Sincermus.
Sincermus.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be.
Hi, guys. I'm so happy
hi.
to be here.
Yes. Thank you for taking time out on Wednesday evening.
And I didn't know if we could pick our entry music, but I guess we can't, right? Due to patent.
Yeah. To what do you call it? Copyright stuff.
Got it. Because I was thinking Go-Go's or Bryan Adams or
Walk-up music. Yeah, we got in trouble for using band.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's okay. You can play it in your head as
Absolutely. Oh, I
There you
play it
go.
all the time on Sirius XM because I drive a lot.
Okay.
Being in sales, I'm all over the place. So I live and die by that radio.
Okay. All right. So, yes, you definitely need tunes to drive by on all those freeways. All right. Well, here we are. So tell us, where did your shaker experience start?
It started, I was lucky enough it started at the very beginning. It started in preschool. Born in Youngstown, Ohio. And my parents, they were kids themselves. They were youngsters. They had 3 of us by 23.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they moved us to Shaker due to knowing it was one of the top public school systems in the nation. Even thinking, wow, it's expensive. They got by, but it was, we all know it was not an inexpensive place to live, even for our parents back then.
Okay.
So they moved us in, and we lived on Berwyn Road. I lived there my whole Shaker life, between Avalon and Glencairn.
Okay.
And I started at the church across from Van Aken, across from the tracks on Glencairn is still there. I think it was like a Presbyterian church or something. I had preschool there.
Is it
All
that
right.
brick one with the white? It's right across from the rapid stop. Is that the one?
There's 2. There's one on each side. I think the one you're talking about is the Avalon one.
Yes.
Where they used to have a social my brother used to go to, Todd, called the Well.
Oh, yeah.
You guys remember that? I don't.
Vaguely. Never went.
That was the opposite stop, right on the other side of us.
Okay, because I went to nursery school there.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had Mrs. Treat and Mrs. Trump. You just can't forget those names. And I'm
Treat
sure there were
and
other
Trump.
Shaker alum at that preschool. And then started at Fernway and went all the way up.
So, what are some of your? You have any fond Fernway memories?
I do. I loved walking to school. We could walk to school, which was so great back then. It was so close. And going home for lunch. We had enough lunch to go home and eat and go back. That was always fun. It's not like that anymore. And a Fernway Fun Fair. I don't know if your elementary schools had fun fairs, but we look forward to that all year long. And it was a huge fair.
Okay.
I won a 10-speed bike.
Okay.
I had to get how much candy was. It was either a Shaker jacket or a 10-speed bike. So that was tough. But I won the bike. Oh my God, I did cartwheels.
What time of the year was that? October? Because I remember Lomond having that type of thing.
I think we had our fun fairs in like September, I think. So maybe they did make it a fall thing.
Yeah.
But it was such a blast. And then I remember my brother, got to give him a little shout out, Todd McKelvey. They actually they dug a, what do you call that when you're going to put things away for someone to find?
Oh, a time capsule.
Time capsule.
Yeah.
Todd was like head of the student council. So it was in the paper and everything. He got to dig the student council, the time capsule. We put a bunch of stuff in. It was 1976.
Ooh, okay.
Todd headed that up. We were the only time I think we were ever in school together was elementary, I think. But so that was a big deal. And then it really makes you think, geez, I'm a little older now. They've since opened the capsule.
Oh, they have already.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Was it intact? Was it intact?
I think so. You know, I would still to this day love to find out what they put in that via 1976.
Yeah.
Probably like a cassette, or a 8-track tape. Probably, roller skates. All the 70s stuff.
Some bicycle
celebration
stuff, probably. I'm thinking
if they put Hot Wheels in there, that would be worth a lot right now.
Which are still very hot today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So few things have lasted the test of time.
Yes.
But few things have. So that was a highlight too. And just, I have a very vivid memory. I remember every teacher's name. I remember how I felt in each class. I remember the first day of kindergarten, how I felt.
Yeah.
Kind of sizing everybody up. Like, what are we doing here? What's happening?
Okay, since your memory's good, do you remember the carnivals that used to be on Chagrin between Avalon and Lee Road?
I have a memory of that. Yes.
They used to have rides and everything. And
yes, I do remember that. Yes.
I miss that. So I don't know when that stopped, but I remember at least going to a few of those.
I think it stopped pretty early.
Yeah, because I remember them blocking off the street. And I remember rides being in that funeral. I don't know if that funeral home is still there.
Brown Forward?
I don't know what it was called.
I think it was Brown Forward, and it's still there. That is like
behind Al Nola's shoes.
Is it?
Shout out. Yeah.
Well, Al Nola's was right next. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was Al Nola's. Yeah.
Shout out to
when people used to
Billy
get
Abshaw,
their shoes fixed. Yeah.
our producer. Exactly.
Was there a shoe store right there?
It was a shoe repair. Al Nola's. Yeah.
Because you're talking about the Avalon Chagrin intersection.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's like where Master Pizza was, Saul's Deli.
Yeah, I remember the parking lot had like carousel rides in it. And then the Heinens had rides in it as well. But I specifically remember rides.
I remember
type rides.
I do remember a couple rides
myself. That's crazy. Man, I wish. And then do you remember, did you guys have bicycle parades where you decorate your bicycle and ride up to the school?
We had that, and we had block parties on our street too. You guys all did that, right? We were able to block off the streets.
We didn't have block parties on it. At least on my street, Keswick, we didn't. I don't think we had block parties.
Oh, we had them my whole life growing up on Berwyn. And I don't know if there's any familiar names, but right around the corner on Van Aken, because Van Aken was such a busy street, we had the Richardsons, Kevin, Michael, and Sean. I don't know if you knew any of them. They were all probably a year older than you and up.
Doesn't ring a bell.
The Rosenthals.
Yes.
Seth Rosenthal and Lori. They were right on either side of me. I think Seth was 85, Lori was 87. Courtney Rogers, I think he went to a private school. Michael and David Jackson, their father was a doctor.
David Jackson, yeah.
They
R.I.P.
At our house a lot growing up.
Yeah.
Michael, God rest his soul, he died of sickle cell anemia.
Yeah.
He was in our class.
Yeah.
He died way too young. I mean, after high school and college. But the Jacksons were lovely people, and they were around the corner, catty corner. I could see their house from my back door. So they would all come over to the block party. And the Calverts, I don't know if you knew Jeff Calvert.
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
Kenny Leidner.
I remember Kenny Leidner. I remember the name.
They moved though. Yeah, they were around for a while, and I think they went off to private school. So yeah, we had a fun gang on our street, and a lot of block parties, and it was just cool. You could block off the street and have the house for the whole day.
Right. Yeah.
Or the street, I should say. Yeah. So that was fun.
So. I was going to ask.
What about Board and Arrows? Remember Board and Arrows?
Yeah.
The grocery
the corner store, right? It was like on the corner, like Linfield and.
The building is still there.
Okay.
And it's still utilized.
It was there. It was kind of on the corner. There was something right next to it.
Yes. Yeah. But it was the upscale grocery store.
Yeah, it had
My
porthole
mom never went
windows.
there. It was like something fancy.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Wow.
she went to DeVita's Buy Right across
Yes.
from Master Pizza.
Right. DeVita's. Did you ever go to the bowling alley when it was
Yes.
there? Yes.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
God. It's so weird to think
Yeah.
it's gone. Like that thing was huge.
Yeah.
And then there was a 10-cent candy store.
Yes.
Yes.
Scott's.
That.
Scotty's. It
Oh,
was,
do you
it
guys
was called
remember?
Scotty's.
Scotty's.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And DeVita's
Remember.
Buy Right, Shaker Hardware. My dad always went to Saul's Deli every Sunday morning. We loved
Okay.
Saul. He was there forever.
Yeah.
And we went to St. Dominic's. So after or before church, my dad would stop at Saul's to get the Sunday paper. And
I can still smell Saul's in my mind. I can
yep.
Corned beef.
still smell the
Oh yeah.
pickles and the corned beef, and I can see the black lady at the counter that worked there and Saul there. And then you could walk next door into Shaker Beverage. It was
Oh, yeah.
connected.
For sure.
And we're also forgetting one of the most obvious stores, Huff Bakery.
Yes. Oh my
Where
God.
was that? Why? I mean, I know the name was. Where was it connected?
Well, I think it was across the street from Heinen's in that strip.
No,
I think.
no. It was connected to Saul's, and then Saul's was right next to Shaker Beverage.
Well,
Yeah,
did they
that's
move
yeah.
because Huff Bakery ended up next to Lesher Shoes and Draggers
Yes.
up at
Okay.
the upper part of the rapid stop, way up.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's right. Huff Bakery, because I remember. Oh wow, okay.
Did your parents ever take you to Lesher's?
Mayo.
No.
I don't remember.
That was so
No.
old school. You know, you
Yeah.
measure feet, and all the shoes were in the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was Lesher's, Draggers. We loved Draggers. I was so bummed when that closed. Noggins, I don't know, the Vogue.
Yes.
I remember going to Vogue Theater. That was awesome.
Yeah. It was like you would meet up with, there'd be a group of folks to meet up
Oh,
at the Vogue. Did you
Oh,
steal
yeah.
candy from Scotty's like the rest of us?
I think.
Everyone used to steal candy from Avalon and Drug.
Oh my God. Those poor-
Zach Green worked there behind the counter. I think he knew people were just coming in stealing stuff.
Well, if you're talking about stealing, I got to confess, I was probably 11, and my girlfriends and I from Fernway did a dare at the Woolworths on Shaker Square. Long
Yeah.
gone. God bless Woolworths.
Yeah.
Oh
We-
yeah.
We
right
all
across
dared
there.
each other to take an eyeliner. So the secret's out. And there was like a rent-a-cop in there, like a
Yeah.
dude, and we literally walked by him. We probably looked guiltier than all get up, but we all took one eyeliner. We hit the door and we ran like hell. I never did anything like that again, but maybe it was a rite of passage, being 11 and young and dumb. But yeah,
So-
we stole from
Hey.
Woolworth. They
So
gave us
anybody listening out there, if you snitch, you know where it came from
correct.
this show.
Right.
Oh, I did this. This was very admirable for what were we, 11 or 12? Aaron Brandt, who went to U.S. He went to Hawken. And I think he played with O.J. McDuffie. He was the quarterback. But we were young. We used to play baseball.
Yeah.
We lived on Lomond in the house that Robbie Mears moved into later on. And Aaron and I went to get candy, and he was laughing, and he stole a bunch of Tootsie Rolls. It was Tootsie Rolls or gum. He goes, look what I did. And we were walking, and he was laughing. I made him take them back and put them back.
Oh.
Aw, what a good soul you are.
Yeah. I remember that too. That was, wow.
Wow.
It has been noted in the book of life.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, I wonder where the Brants are. I bet you your brother knows the Brants. Has to.
Were they a
Because,
baseball family?
Hmm?
Were they a baseball family? Or
Yes,
just
they're a baseball
free?
family. There's Aaron and Peter, and the
Okay.
father was a coach at Hawken as well. And gosh, I wish I could remember his name. I could see him like it was yesterday. He was a really cool guy. Where's your brother?
Yeah.
My brother lives on the West Coast.
Okay.
He lives in the Seattle area. He lived in Portland, Seattle.
Okay.
But after high school and college, he lived across from Kane Park.
Okay.
And believe you me, party house.
Hmm.
He lived with those names like Greg Fuller.
Shout out to Greg Fuller.
Ricos were always over there. I mean, lots of familiar names. Just party house. We had a ball. I was so bummed when he left, and he lived above the grist mill for a while, formerly known as the grist mill. He had an apartment up there, and I was still in college at Kent State, so I'd come back and party on. And one of my brother's dearest friends, Tom Spillman, he lived with him for a while. Called him Tiny.
He lived in the Fernway area as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
My mom worked at the plant company with Laura Spillman. Laura at Spillman and Tom and Randy, God rest his soul, their mom, and Jerry Johan, which, the Bobby and David.
No, more baseball names.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. The Johans knew how to party.
Well, Todd played for the Brants and my junior A team on the Bowman. Oh, yeah? So, yeah. Yep. Connection.
Yeah, he took his baseball career very seriously.
He was intense, really intense, man. Those coaches, I remember Mr. Arnwine, B. Tough, and Mr. Asamoto was really laid back.
Was he? My dad was both. My dad was more laid back. My dad was also a Boy Scout leader. So it's so wonderful when I'd go into a restaurant in Shaker Square. Remember the Shaker alum that owned Rain? Or was it Fire? Oops, I got the wrong.
Oh yeah, that high end, that restaurant. I always wanted to call it
Rain.
Yeah, that
Fire.
What was
his
that?
The 90s or the 80s? When was that? That was
he owned that in the 2000s.
2000.
Yeah, it closed a few years ago. Finally.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a hoop-de-doo.
And I went in there to eat one day, and he said, "Your dad was my Boy Scout leader." And it's kind of fun to meet people, over the years that say, "Wow, I loved your dad." He was a great coach. He was a great. My dad said those were the greatest years ever. For 13 years, he coached. He loved it. But even they said he was the favorite Boy Scout leader because my dad would be asleep by 8:00. So they'd break out. They'd break it all out.
Yeah.
Blast, and my dad would be in his tent asleep. So they were like, "We loved it. Your dad went to bed. We could do whatever we wanted."
Yeah.
I won't get into great detail, but they had a blast. So it's fun. It's such a compliment to hear that. They called my dad Mac, and I do remember, speaking of baseball coaches, my brother dealing with Mr. Hogue.
Okay.
And he used to upset my brother at times. My brother would come home mad at Mr. Hogue some days.
Did he play high school ball?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. We thought he was going to play at Miami, but he didn't. He went into fraternity and rugby.
Okay.
Fraternity life and rugby.
Yeah.
I could see that. That's another very intense sport, so I can picture him from.
Yeah, and then Jennifer, my sister, was class of, God, I should know this, 89, 90. She lives in Florida, so she also is a Shaker alum, and a lot of great friends she made there. She's still in touch with a good group. And she gets back here when she can. So yeah, we all just look back on growing up in Shaker very fondly. We went to Sussex Day Camp. I remember that.
Okay.
I bet a lot of kiddos went there. Some you didn't even know were sitting right next to you probably all those years before.
I went to Boulevard.
Yeah.
Did you guys have dodgeball phobia at the Sussex Day Camp? Because we definitely.
Oh yeah. And Fernway. And I love that you guys play football at or kickball at your class reunion. I still do that at our next reunion. I think that would be a blast.
Yeah, you got to. That should be like every alumni's tradition.
Right. And you just pray you don't get picked last.
Or, pop a knee,
right.
Or blow out an Achilles. Yeah.
But dodgeball scared the hell out of me. And that was wicked. I mean, at Fernway, there was a lot of dodgeball. You could get out a lot of aggression.
That's abuse.
Whether you were having trouble at home or you were mad at your teacher, you could use that ball as a weapon. I remember people just get pummeled. Oh, yeah. And just beat each other with a ball.
Yes, that they don't make those red rubber balls like that. I noticed that when we
They
played
don't?
kickball. Yeah, it's a different. The ball that we had was very thin, even though it was like traditionally in that style, but it wasn't the same like heavy rubber that they had before. So
Oh,
I'm
no
sure.
kidding.
I'm sure there's some lawsuits behind that, and they had to readjust the design because I'm sure people were getting concussions from those things,
now they got
Probably.
the
having
professional
their
league.
having their bell rung, as we used to say.
Right. But I hope that tradition carries on. I'm going to suggest it in a next reunion. I love
Yeah,
going to reunions. I have a blast. I wish more people, we've had good outcomes and not so, but there's definitely been a lot of people I thought, come on, just come.
yeah, yeah. No, it's to me it's like the foundation for like community or how one may perceive community and go forth in community. And
Right?
then sometimes people, I mean, especially now with everything with like new media and stuff like that, addresses change, and the way stuff is captured now is different. Trying to get several hundred email addresses from people to
Right.
do stuff, and so that's a challenging thing. Like I think at our reunion we may have had, I mean, it was 2 nights, maybe, but in total, maybe over maybe 200 people or up to, but we were a class of like 500 and something.
Wow. I hear you.
And yeah, so you wonder, how many people did get the memo or even, and then there's people who don't even care, they're like, yeah, I went there later.
How did they
So,
plan them? You wonder how they planned them before all the technology.
yeah, somebody
Oh, they
kept
get
a
the word out,
list. Yeah.
right? Door to door. I mean, my
Yeah.
God.
Somebody was like the designated person.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's different now. Yeah.
Yep.
So
But I'm
going into
glad I'm not
Woodbury.
far from Shaker. So I love
Yeah.
venture. Yeah.
So going into Woodbury, what was that like for you? I mean, like, you're going to junior high, you went to Woodbury. So yeah, what was that like? I mean, did you have any idea or ambition about where you were thinking about then, or it was just like, hey, I'm just here taking classes? Any favorite
It was
teachers?
exciting. I think it was
Yeah.
exciting, a little nerve wracking because you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be going to school. Like I'm with all these people from
Yeah.
kindergarten to six. This is my group. And then all of a sudden, what we were thrust into a junior high with what, 4 elementaries? Wasn't it like there are 8 in Shaker? Did 4 go
Yeah.
to Byron and 4 went to Woodbury?
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
I was also fascinated with the building. I thought it looked like something out of Washington, D.C. I mean, I
Okay.
loved the way Woodbury looked. I was like, wow, this is quite a building. And there was always that little rivalry with Byron. We always thought Woodbury, we have the most awesome looking school and we
Yeah.
have the better neighborhood and all that friendly banter.
So did you
But
play any sports or anything? You play any
I
sport?
did, well, I did some tennis. I did ski club. I did
Okay.
softball one year.
Yeah.
I think I was too left-handed. I was a southpaw. I batted left, I threw left, and I caught left. So that the catching and the throwing thing didn't work out for me.
Oh yeah, the catching would be tough.
Yeah.
Well, I have a catcher story. I think it was junior A. I played
Yeah.
catcher briefly. My dad found a left-handed catcher's glove. I don't know how he did it.
You're a
But,
left. You're a southpaw too.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like 1 in 10 people in the world. But, just the fact that he found a left-hander's catcher's mitt, those are like those like little parental golden moments, I mean,
Right.
so yeah, I didn't even know they existed, but they did.
But I did ski club, and I tried other sports.
Yeah.
Where did you go to Brandywine? Where was the closest?
We went to Boston Mills.
Boston
Boston
Mills.
Mills.
Oh my
Yes.
God, that was
Yeah.
a blast. I mean, it was just, and I still ski, and my son
Okay.
skis, and my husband, I taught him to ski because he came from Greece, over from Greece when he was in his 20s, and they, not a lot of skiing going on
Yeah.
part of the world as much as here. So
Is
love skiing still.
is Boston Mills still around? I mean, like if you go skiing, where do you go in Ohio now if it's not around?
Boston Mills is still around.
Oh, it
There's
is.
right in my backyard.
Wow.
And
Yeah, where are you? I didn't catch. Where do you live?
I live in Kirtland.
Okay.
I never even knew Kirtland existed growing up in Shaker.
Yeah.
Never. I was like, where's Kirtland?
That was cool. Your camera went like.
I know, isn't that weird? I know. I'm like, my camera's going woo woo.
Hmm.
I thought you
That was
guys
very-
were doing that.
That was
No.
very
Cool,
professional.
I got a nice dress on. I mean, I got my work dress on, but we ski. We like to ski in New York,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. Want to go out to Breckenridge this winter. Yeah, so still love that sport. But yeah, I think like I tried a little of everything. I did yearbook. I did some other clubs that I don't remember what they were called, and I just looked through the yearbook and be like, oh, I was in that club. Okay.
Right.
So were you a socialite? Were you popular? How were your high school years?
I think it went. We'll start in Woodbury. I got invited to the #1 slumber party. So life's good.
Okay.
I was asked out by a boy rather quickly when I got to junior high. I don't think he'll mind me telling you. His name was Kevin Kayak.
Oh yeah, the kayak.
Yes.
I'm like, it's a positive shout out. People don't care, right?
Jason and Tim. Yes, I lived on the corner of Onaway and Warrington.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Those are just memories you remember, right? And he asked me to go out, and it was so innocent back then too, really. And I got invited to the slumber party, these girls from Boulevard, and it was, if you were invited to that party, you were in. Oh. And I got invited.
So what did you do, and how many of you were there?
Oh,
was there chaperoned, or was
no? Okay, us Fernway girls were a little more innocent than these Boulevard girls.
Okay.
If they're watching, they'll crack up.
And what did you tell your parents? What did you tell them you were?
They let me go, and I think somehow they were always the type that would verify a parent was actually home.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I think that went away because I went to so many parties, like U.S. parties. I mean, parents were never home.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many U.S. parties we crashed, or brush parties, Brush High School. But back to junior high. So to answer your question, yes, I think I started off junior high with a bang.
Okay.
I had a bow, and I got invited to the top slumber party. And it's funny you should ask what we did. Oh my goodness.
Listen to records.
We were filling up condoms with water and throwing them at cars. Okay, so we were sinister. And I'm like, and people, a few girls were smoking, and we're all having our little girl talk. There was no parent in sight.
How many kids were there?
There were probably 15.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And was there loud music? The neighbors weren't saying anything?
Nope, we were listening to the B-52s, among other songs. Okay. But these were a lot of Boulevard girls, and I was like, wow, these girls are a little faster than we are. But I was so excited to be invited, and I had a best friend at the time, and she was not invited. So that was tough because I was going.
And you chose.
Yeah, when you're that age, it's hard.
Yeah.
And like you said, you go to junior high, and things start to change, and friendships start to change, and we would write each other like 30-page notes in school, because way before technology, right?
Wow.
We'd all see who could write the longest note to each other, all the girls. Yeah. So I had a great experience, I believe. And then friendships ebbed and flowed and changed over the years. Yeah. I ended up breaking up with Kevin for no reason at all. Just because. Maybe peer pressure from the girls, like, they wanted me to just hang with them. But just so many fond memories. And I'm trying to think. Oh, I also loved, we started going to hockey games.
Yeah.
How many high schools, I've talked to so many friends who are like, your high school at least had a hockey team?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We had a hockey team. We had an indoor pool. So even in junior high, we loved going to the Friday night hockey games, or Saturday, because Friday night was Friday night skate.
Yeah.
Right.
We'd go to Thornton. It's another place that I have wonderful memories. Swimming in the summers, going to Friday night skate. Have a couple regrets about Friday night skate. I should have had a couple boys ask me to skate, and I oddly was shy, and I'd run and hide in the bathroom. I mean, I'm not shy.
Yeah.
But I must have been then. if you could go back into a time bubble.
Yeah.
Paul Blackhurst, cutest
I remember
guys in our
Paul
grade class. That's another one. He asked me to go out with him, and because my best friend told me not to, I didn't. So another regret. I went home to my Holly Hobby room with my orange shag carpet and cried my eyes out. I wanted to go out with Paul Blackhurst. Hi, Paul, if you're out there. It is what it is. But we'd go to Friday night skate, had a ball, and then hockey games. So, and I loved going to Thornton in the summers.
Yeah.
But my dad kind of made it, his career was going very well as we were getting older. And he got the whole Shaker Country Club invite. Join the Shaker Country Club. But we wanted to go to Thornton.
Right.
That's where all our peeps were. There were very few kids at Shaker, believe it or not, that I knew. A few. But we eventually got back to Thornton. We weren't using the club enough. My parents were like, you guys aren't using it enough, so we'll go back to Thornton. And we much preferred Thornton. We have 8mm videos of us swimming.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, man. Yeah.
I've been back there. I took my son swimming there. I was like going back in a time capsule.
You guys have, I'm sorry, it always goes back to baseball. Are there any 8mm baseball movies in your archives?
Yes, there are.
Okay.
You guys do a Shaker Boys podcast down the road. I will have my dad dig those up because and my dad would love to make an appearance. I know my brother would.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah.
But we would drive to those games. That was our life in our big old station wagon with the fake wood panels.
Oh, yeah.
On the sides. We all had those, right?
Yeah.
A lot of parents did.
Did you sit backwards in the very back seat?
We did. We would go back there because sometimes we'd be fighting with each other. My mom would try to reach back and give one of us a little tap, and we'd go way in the back so she couldn't. But when you look back on that, the way they designed those station wagons, oh my God, like a death trap.
Yeah.
Way in the back. Ours, I don't know if ours had the flip up seat or not, but we would be in the flat part. No seat belts, rolling around. It was just hilarious. But I have a lot of memories of almost many nights a week. My mom would load my sister up and I in the car, and we'd go to one of many elementary schools, watch the games. It was fun.
Those station wagons were great for drive-in movies. Did you go to the drive-in over across from Randall Park Mall?
That was Miles driving.
No, there was Miles, but there was another one up the street. There was one right across from the Holiday Inn, and right in the parking lot of, at least that's what I remember. Someone can chime in and say if I'm wrong, but there were two drive-in theaters in proximity of each other. Or maybe we did go to Miles. I could be wrong. Yeah.
Because I think Miles was near Rick Case Honda. Because it kind of went down a hill. There was like Rick Case and Miles.
Yeah, that was that was around for a long time.
Remember the big Holiday up there in the Ville? We always call it the Ville.
Yeah,
that's right, Warrensville.
I love the sign. It was so retro.
Yeah.
And Randall Park Mall was the bomb. I remember going there at school shopping. My mom would drop me and all my friends off. Sadly, before thugs took it over and a security guard was shot and all that good stuff later on. But in the beginning years, it was amazing. It was built by a Youngstown native who my family knew.
The Bartlows owned San Francisco. They still have
friends of our family.
Someone told me, I was just talking about Youngstown. They told me that the 49ers, I don't know if this is true, still have training camp in Youngstown.
And their headquarters are there. I go to Youngstown for work.
Still?
It's there. They're building.
That is by it. I'm like, crazy.
Wait. Let me hear this right.
Okay.
You mean to tell me that the San Francisco 49ers still have like a presence in Youngstown?
Oh, yes. And you should see the building. It is a huge SF emblem. Huge.
Edward J. DeBartolo. He built
on Market Street.
Mall.
That is a great trivia question for Ohio.
And Youngstown is I'm sorry, it's a dump. It is.
Oh, it is. And you know what, Eric? It breaks my heart. My family I have huge history there. My grandfather had a department store and his father, and it goes back 100 years. McKelvey's department store, a 6-story, huge, which was sold to Higbee's and became Dillard's.
Wow.
So it breaks my heart that I could have been a department store heiress, but none of my grandmother's children were interested in that.
Well, let me tell you this: if you go back to Youngstown, my first job was in Columbus with the Ohio Historical Museum or Ohio Historical Society.
Yeah.
We had 53 sites. So one of the sites was the Youngstown Museum of Steel and Industry.
Ooh.
Michael Graves, who did the Disney Hotel, the Dolphin Hotel, designed that building. So we put all the exhibits in. And if you go
Dolphin.
Yeah, so you go downstairs and we built like these blast furnaces out of cardboard and stuff for the exhibits. There is a mannequin of me, my whole body and my face, at 21 years old down there, still there. Yeah, I just
what?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
yeah.
famous.
Like I'm immortalized down there. Frozen in time at 21. Yeah, I was 21. There's a man.
Where is this again?
Youngstown. It's at the top of it. It's right across the street from YSU.
What? Oh my God!
Youngstown University.
Like every week or every other week, I'm so going by there.
Yeah, it's the museum. I'll send you the picture. I just looked at it yesterday.
You gotta.
The Youngstown Museum of Steel and Industry. I felt bad because the town was crumbling, and we would go get the artifacts and bring them into the museum.
Oh man!
Oh my God! The world gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. I'm very sad about Youngstown. Huge family history. Very fond of it. I call in doctors there. Honest to God, they would say, you know what? Your family used to be the Kennedys of Youngstown.
Wow.
My grandfather had the store. We had there's a McKelvey Lake in Youngstown.
Do you have pictures of the old store? That would be great.
I can pull one up probably right now. But the other rumor is this, Youngstown was little Chicago. A lot of mafia. I've been asked more than one occasion, was your family involved? Not at all. But there is a true story of Al Capone coming to McKelvey's a million years ago, whenever he was the deal.
Yeah.
Here it is. Hold on one second. Hold on. See that? If you see that,
oh my
me.
God. Wait, I need my glasses.
Okay.
You gotta be kidding me. That's you?
Yep.
Oh my God. That is so crazy.
That's weird because I was just talking to someone about Youngstown and they gave me that whole story. Every time we have someone on and some obscure story comes on, I had some sort of thing happen that week. Every show that we've had. Weird.
I'm going to talk and scroll because I think I can find a picture of the store. I collect memorabilia from the store, and you'd be amazed what I find. There's stuff on eBay from it. Fur coats, boxes, catalogs.
That's awesome. Have you decorated your home with that stuff? You have. You have to have.
I'll show you something real quick. This is on the wall in my kitchen. This is from 100 years old, from one of the first mercantiles, and it's a receipt from the McKelvey's grocery.
Wow, man, that's hella cool.
Were they friends with the Roebucks of Sears or whoever ran that?
Oh, I would imagine.
I like your lighting fixture in the back.
You like what?
The lighting fixture in the back over the table behind you.
Oh, you can see it? Oh, yeah, it's a reflection from, I'm like in our little side eating area.
No, but I like the design of it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the boys upstairs. I'm like, you guys have to be really quiet. Don't embarrass me. Just get up.
So continue on with your Al Capone story.
Okay, real quick. Al Capone story. Yeah. He came to McKelvey's and he wanted to meet would be my great grandfather, because there were many my regular grandfather and great all the way back. The mercantile opened in 1895. In fact, that receipt I just showed you is from let me look. It's from, God, I need my glasses. It is from, it's so crazy to think it's that old, but I have
put it to the screen. We might be able to read it.
Hold on, I'm using my glass. 1909.
Wow.
Can you believe it?
That's before people were riding automobiles. That's before the Ford that's before the Model T, actually.
Yes. So Al Capone paid a visit to my grandfather, but my great, because Al Capone was around what, in the 30s? I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
20s,
my
30s.
great.
Yeah.
But they wanted nothing to do with him. But
Yeah, was it a welcome visit?
yeah, right. But it was a big store in town. There was McKelvey's and Strauss. They were a very big deal, and at the time, and so not surprised. I called on East Liverpool. A lot of the mobsters from Youngstown lived in East Liverpool, Ohio, and I would call on there. I'm in pharmaceuticals, and I would call on doctors down there. And you'd be amazed, all these old dilapidated mansions, like that were so out of an Italian mob movie.
Yeah.
They all lived in those and have long gone. I think most of the mob is out of Youngstown now. But they ran the steel mills.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, those are gone now, sadly. And I think that's why Youngstown went to hell in a handbasket, most of it, unfortunately.
Well, the immigrants came in through Western Pennsylvania and Youngstown, in that area. That's where they all migrated.
My uncle was mayor of Youngstown when Bush was in office.
Oh, wow.
My dad's brother, George.
Shout out to Danny Green.
He was mayor, and he brought Bush. What?
I just froze. I said, shout out to Danny Green.
I know.
Oh.
I know. A friend of mine used to. He went to private school, Montessori, with Danny Green's kid.
Who's Danny Green?
He was a mobster.
Irish mobster.
Okay.
He got blown up.
Got blown up.
Green.
The green Cadillac?
Yeah, I think so. Got blown up.
He drove a green, huge Cadillac.
It got blown up there off of Brainerd or something.
My friend used to carpool with him.
Wow.
From the Montessori school.
That is playing with their lives.
He used to get up in the morning and check underneath the car every morning to see if there was a bomb beneath there.
When I used to go to Youngstown to visit my cousins in the summer, I loved it back then.
Yeah.
And I got a little boyfriend there. And sure enough, his father was literally a hitman for the mafia, we found out.
Oh!
Ooh.
Do you remember Nick? Do you remember Nick Maletti?
Who knew?
The Nick Maletti, the owner of the Cavs?
No, I don't know him.
Vaguely, yep.
He had some mafia ties too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Man, so you could have been married to the mob.
Pretty much.
Could have been a mafia princess.
We would ride around on his moped. But I'll tell you, I mean, I was a teenager or whatever. But I could never go to his house, though, which I found unusual.
Really?
And then my dad found out through the grapevine that his name was Bobby Holovutic or something. And my dad pulled me aside. He's like, you can't see him anymore. And I'm crying. I'm like 14, maybe 15.
Yeah.
Why? And just, it's crazy to think. And Joey Naples lived on that street. I mean, some serious mafia people.
Joey Two Hands.
Yeah, Joey Naples. And they would purposely downplay. They didn't live in huge McMansions in Youngstown. They lived in very moderate homes.
Yeah.
To kind of hide.
Yeah.
And then here I was flying around all over Youngstown on a moped with.
You know what? That's the Bronx Tale remix. That's the Bronx Tale remix. Yeah.
So it's funny, the Youngstown connection. It's not far, from a lot of a shake.
Wow.
But my parents wanted us to have a top-notch education, and we did. And I was always shocked by why did people go to Gilmore, Hawken, HB, and Laurel when we were all coming up? It was top 10 in the nation.
Yeah.
So why did their parents spend that kind of money? My mom and dad gave us the option in 7th grade to go to Laurel or HB. And my sister and I were like, absolutely not.
Yeah. I'm
not going to school with all girls.
Yeah.
No. And I got my friends, my gang. No. And probably saved my parents a ton.
Oh, yeah.
But I never understood that. I didn't. I mean, top 10 school in the nation, public-wise.
Well, I think
it was a private school.
I think it probably also in some ways may had something to do with integration and the melanin quotient for some was a little too much, a little too urbane. So yeah.
Well, funny you bring that up.
Yeah.
I might as well. Yeah. Expand on that a little bit. I just want to say that I am so grateful that I grew up in a place like Shaker Heights.
Yeah.
And my mom said to me one time, unfortunately, this isn't the real world. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And when I left for college, I found out.
Yeah.
I looked around and was like, wait a minute, everybody's not hanging out. We're not all, just harmonious, all,
Kumbaya.
color, religion. It was a bit of a change. I went to Kent
Yeah.
State and
Oh, yeah. Kent
yeah.
State.
And I
Yeah.
choice words time to time, things that were
Yeah.
forbidden in our home and
Yeah.
never even occurred to us to say about anyone, any religion or race. It just didn't, it was just ingrained in us that, to me at least, growing up, and I call it the bubble because I never really gave it a second thought. I
Mhm.
mean, I just had a blast with all my friends of all colors, religions. Some of the best parties were at Dwayne Allen's. He had an older brother, Jay.
Okay.
They lived near the Academy Tavern in one of those McMansions. And oh my God, parties were epic. And it just was awesome. It was just like black, white, Jewish, whatever the mix was. In my opinion, and I think my friends, nobody cared. I never gave any of that a second thought. And then I leave Shaker and I'm like, whoa. And I remember a few times saying things to some people like, excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me? Like, and I remember just a few times thinking, wow, like there's such a separation in some areas.
Well,
That
Kent State, where are most of the people from that go to Kent State? Are they from the
I went
Cleveland
with my
area?
best friend Stacy DeBell. Shout out to Stacy, class of '86. And Becky Grieco ended up living a small world. My brother was good friends with the Grieco boys. I became good friends with Becky Grieco, class of '87. She lived with Stacy and I the last 2 years.
Mhm.
We all had a blast together, crazy fun at Kent. But I would say they were all over Ohio. And I noticed that certain parts of Ohio were very white
Yeah.
bread, small town.
Yeah.
So they were no match for us Shaker people at Kent.
Well, when I went to Cleveland Institute of Art, which I stayed home and went to school, that was a cultural shock for
Really?
me and
Even
the
being
people.
downtown?
Well, with the people coming, a lot of people were from the West Side
Oh.
that attended, and a lot of people were from out of state. But the West Side kids, they were like, wait a minute. They would always ask me questions about why Black people do this and do that.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Like, why are you asking me all these dumbass questions?
Right?
That's what I want to
Yeah.
know.
We had cousins in Parma. Need I say no more?
Uh-oh.
We would go from
Parma.
Shaker to Parma, and this is back in the day. And
Yeah.
we'd see crosses burning, and we'd be like, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
That was so, I mean, and my mom's brother and his family lived there, and they were kissing cousins so close to us. But that was also like white world.
Can I tell you a story?
Yes,
I
please
was
do.
I was dating a girl, Filipino girl in '86, and she said, "Let's go see aliens at Parma Town." I said,
Oh, Parma
"Hell
Town.
no!" And
The
she
town
said,
mall.
She
Nope.
said, "You'll be fine. You'll be fine." So we're watching, and I've got my head on swivel. I'm looking, making sure. I'm sure something's going
Can
to
I
jump
ask why you
off,
ended
right?
up in Parma?
Because she was from the West Side, and she was
Oh, she was
unaffected.
from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she did have any trouble. So within the first part of the movie, this black sergeant is yelling, and he gets killed, and someone said, "Kill that N-word,"
It didn't.
and the whole crowd, it was packed. They started laughing and clapping and all kinds of stuff. And I was ready to fight, just wanting to take somebody's head off and being scared at the same time, feeling out of place and wondering, that was a big culture shock. That was '86 at Parmatown Mall. Whenever the Aliens came out, Aliens 1 or Aliens 2, I'll never forget.
I remember that one. Yeah, that's I know, right? Even when we were in high school, if we stepped outside the bubble.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about the West Side until
I'd go to camp, and I went to Summer's Best 2 weeks in Pennsylvania. It was like a Catholic camp. Oh, it was a nightmare. And Well, they were telling us they were taking all our cassette tapes. My Def Leppard, they took them all from us and said that's all sin.
Blasphemous.
Yes, they told us that
Devil
Bridge
music.
Over Troubled Water was about drugs.
Really? Oh,
They
okay.
told us Hey Jude was about drugs.
Yeah.
They didn't let they took all my Def Leppard tapes. Oh, it was tragic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just growing up in shape. I mean, I'm just so grateful because that's it.
Yeah.
It shaped me, and I think it shaped a lot of us. It's just who we are.
Yeah.
I don't give any of that much thought ever, and I guess I assumed that most people didn't either, and I was very naive about that. But I think we're so lucky and blessed and to grow up in Shaker. And I haven't read the book yet, and I feel guilty because I really want to read Laura McKelvey's book and see what that more of what that was about.
Did you know her? And did you know her?
I wish I had. No, we didn't travel in the same circle.
Okay.
And I actually, we were definitely in the same homeroom a lot. Laura McKelvey and Laura Meckler.
Yeah.
So it's funny how I had like a different group of friends at Fernway, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then junior high came and the big slumber party and new boyfriends and guys. And you change cliques. The girls, I think, moved friends a little more than boys at times. So I felt like I was in and out of like either having just one best girlfriend, one friend wonder, or a group of girls. And that kind of carried through high school too. And but I still have, I mean, Stacy DeBell's probably one of the ones I'm in touch with. But I love going to the reunions and seeing everybody. And even if you weren't friends in high school and you were in elementary, hey, what's happening? I was friends with you for like 10 years of my life. And it's amazing how once in a while, people almost act like, do I know you? It's like, yeah, you do. We went to school together from kindergarten to 6th grade. And that's a huge part of your young life. And you were at my house all the time. I mean, hello. I don't know if there's a little gel in there, jealousy or whatever. But I love seeing everyone from all phases of my life. Yeah.
Right,
even if you didn't stay besties. If you didn't have the same bestie in 5th grade that you did in 11th grade. But you were still a huge part of my life.
That's how we see the show. It's a carryover from conversations at reunions that you would have. Come back to people and come back with obscure stories and things.
But I would say for the most part, everybody's great. And it's fun to see everyone and reminisce. Whether it was we were friends in elementary or we were friends in junior high or we were friends in high school.
Right.
Because things change. And
life be life.
Yeah. So, and people evolve, hopefully, right? We want everybody evolve to some degree.
Not always, but yeah.
Right.
We got a question that came up.
Oh, someone asked a question?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yes. Yeah. You might be able to see it on screen, but you'll definitely see it. We'll read it. What is the diversity landscape like in Kirtland? How are your kids experiencing diversity?
Well, I love that you brought that up. Oh, geez. Let me get I got to get a cord. I have 1% battery.
Okay, yeah. All right.
I only have 2 minutes.
Okay. I love her, man. She's great. She's great. Thank you for everybody who's tuning in. I said we got three people in the house on a Wednesday night. Yes, we know that there's a million things going on a Wednesday night, and you chose to be with us. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, this is like in advance. I think on October 26th, there will be a fundraiser for. I'm plugging it in, and can I log back in real quick? Yeah, sure. Oh my gosh, I don't want. Yeah. No, no worries. First one in history. No worries. This is great. Okay, I'm gonna hang up. So October 26th, there will be an evening of celebration of support for Sam Philpott, class of '84, at the Tree Lawn. I don't know the time, but you can look up the Tree Lawn and see the schedule. October 26th, a celebration for Sam Philpott. If you're in town, check out the Tree Lawn, support our fellow 84 person, Eric Hansen. That's his spot, the tree lawn, and support another class of 84 person, Sam Philpott, October 26th. It also happens to be Greg Fuller's birthday on October 26th. And then October 31st, the man to my left, it is his born day.
That's right. Eric Buster Boo Green. Eric Buster Boo Green.
So make note of these days. Pay tribute. Pay tribute to these folks. So we had a little technical difficulty. She ran out of battery power. She's logging in shortly. So we're just filling up time.
I just got Dave Richmond just contacted with me.
Okay.
So he gave me his number. And
yes.
On that group
on
chat.
Sunday, we have class of 84, Dave Richmond. He'll be in the studio, in the house.
Musician extraordinaire.
Yes. Here on the Shaker Heights Experiences May Vary podcast with your hosts, Eric Green and Gabriel Tolliver.
Is anyone out there following the Browns or our Guardians?
That's right. The Guardians are playing tonight. It's a must win tonight, right?
No, they play tomorrow because they
play tomorrow.
Travel to Cleveland.
Okay. 2-3-2. That's right. Got to get over the hump with the Yankees.
Looks like the Browns are going to have a fire sale. Look for Myles Garrett to move to Detroit, I'm thinking, since they lost.
Oh, man. If he goes to Detroit, it's over. It's over. Detroit is going to be the perennial powerhouse. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to bring back to the stage Laura McKelvey. And I'm going to not disrespect her last name. Sincermas.
Sorry about that, guys.
No.
One in the podcast where I wasn't paying attention to the battery.
Well, it's technology.
It happens.
It happens.
But
You're back now.
Take up where we left off with the question.
Yes.
Kirtland is not very diverse, and I wish it was, and I wish we had looked into that further. But I make sure that there's lots of diversity in our family's life, and I have a lot of friends of all race, creeds, colors, religions, and we do go back to Shaker. I love going back for whatever reason, even if it's meeting friends at Touch of Italy, which formerly Master Pizza.
Yes.
Or going up to Van Aken Center, which is a trip.
Is the food still the same? I haven't eaten it.
I think so.
It's the same recipe and everything?
That buttery pizza crust, delicious.
Yes, I think it is. And I will say about Van Aken, it's a trip because the company that my father was formerly senior VP of is putting up that big skyscraper right there.
The Ray.
Gilbane.
Oh, okay. Gilbane Construction
is building that big monster.
Well, I have a question. Maybe you can find out, because when we were setting up for our reunion, they had like the showcase personnel there who were showcasing what the apartments could look like. I asked her 2 questions she didn't have the answers for. I was asking about the LEED rating for the building, and she didn't know.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I needed to know that. Yeah, and the second question I had was about, did they address the potential of birds flying into the mirrored surfaces on the building?
That's a really good question.
If you could find those things out for me, I'd like to.
I will.
Yeah.
I can ask my dad.
Yes.
Just buy those plastic owls.
Yeah. Does that work?
Yeah, I mean, that's to keep them from landing, but if they're flying in flocks or formations, they could run into the glasses.
And that's so sad. In fact, you see behind me, we have glass windows and doors, and every once in a while I hear a huge thunk.
Yeah, even with the bees.
Outside, they're not down on the ground, thank God. But yeah, it's amazing how they just sometimes. I probably walked into a glass door in my lifetime once or twice. So if something's that clear,
it can happen.
But Kirtland's wonderful suburb country feel. I'm by the Holden Arboretum, the farm park. We have some of the most amazing places around us ever. I love seeing horses outside my window. But horses. Diversity, I get in the car and I go 20 miles to Chagrin Boulevard and I'm home.
How close are you to
always
Hudson?
Be home.
Are you close to Hudson?
I'm pretty close. I call on doctors in Hudson too.
Remember the Hudson haunted house?
I do remember that. Yes. And we used to call Hudson, like, we used to think it was a lot like Shaker. But Hudson was more old money. But, well-to-do.
Little Tykes was there, or is Little Tykes still
Yes,
in
Little
Hudson?
Tykes. Little Tykes. Yeah.
And
I call on
Step
doctors
Step
now
Two.
in Hudson. Yeah. Hudson's not changed all that much. It has, but it hasn't. But I love my job because I get to drive all over and
Yes, tell us about your job. Like,
I have been in pharmaceuticals for the vast majority of my adult life.
yeah.
I call on dermatologists. I work for Arcutis Biotherapeutics. I absolutely love it. I didn't start that way though. Right after college, my dad, we were fortunate enough to have our college education paid for.
Okay.
So we had a very short window after that. That was it. Bank of Dad is closed.
Right.
So I jumped on with a coffee shop and then moved on to how this happened. I'll never know. They saw me coming a mile away. I became a social worker in Portage County. Child abuse investigation in the sticks.
Wow.
So there's this young Shaker girl way out in the sticks doing child abuse investigation. So if that was such an eye opener and reminded me every day of how blessed we all were. Not that all of our lives were perfect by any means, but just, woo, that was quite a life lesson for me. And I was able to do that for 4 or 5 years. And then I made a quantum leap into pharmaceuticals, and how that happened, I'll never know, but I wanted that really bad. And I went after it, and I've been in it ever since. I've called on neurology, cardiology, dermatology. I launched Botox for migraine. Would teach doctors how to inject for migraine. That was surreal because I'm like, wait, you went to med school,
right?
And I went to Kent State, and I'm teaching you. So, but it's a very superficial injection, so that's okay. But so I love it, and I love working with people every day, being out in the field. I could never like clock in and be that 9 to 5 bank girl or something.
Right.
So I love that. Yeah.
So you're on the road. Okay.
I'm on the road.
I have to ask you about this because I just read a book, The Tipping Point. Here it is.
Revenge I have that book.
I just finished it.
Book, but I haven't finished it.
Did you come in contact with the opioid epidemic in Ohio? I read that Ohio kind of got away from that because they didn't have to do this thing where they had to document it 3 times.
You mean the OxyContin?
The OxyContin. Yes.
Oh yeah, I knew the rep. Do you know he had one street?
This is getting good. Yes.
Listen, he had one street in Youngstown, Belmont Avenue. That's how corrupt it was. 1 mile. I mean, I go from Sandusky to Akron to I call it Trash Tabula. I love Ashtabula. The armpit of Ohio. It's Mansfield and Ashtabula. Those are the armpits. We're in the middle somewhere. I'm kidding, everybody. Don't want to offend anyone. But
that's where the prison is, Mansfield. Go ahead. Sorry.
Just on the side note, I make beach glass art and jewelry, and I love the beaches on Ashtabula to make the jewelry and the art. And I sell it in the summers in Vermilion at a little store. But anyway, that's getting off the subject. I go to Ashtabula, to Youngstown. I mean, I'm all over. So, but with the opioid, so just to give you an idea of how big my territory spans, the OxyContin rep had a 2-mile territory.
2 miles.
Because the doctors were prescribing it. I think Youngstown even made its mark that it was so atrocious, the abuse of the drugs and the prescriptions. They were so so fraud.
When you read the book, they talk about trends. It wasn't everyone was writing out prescriptions. It was like a few, like 5 people that created this epidemic.
Right. Hence his territory, 2 miles, because there were a few doctors on Belmont Avenue, which back in the day it was awesome, and now it's like terrible. But so it just took a few doctors. To your point.
I have a theory about the opium. Afghanistan. opium.
Oh my
World's
God.
largest
Get me
producer.
started.
Yes. And then, you know, that has to go somewhere. You have to have the original source in order to make the synthetic. And so I think there's more than meets the eye with the poppies there in Afghanistan. So if I wake up have gone to the upper room, you might know why after this conversation.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
I've seen a lot in my industry, and
Yeah.
I have had, and ironically, it was usually Youngstown. I would have people come up to my car when I would pull in the parking lot, and they'd want to know what drugs I had.
Oh man.
And it got really scary a few times.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
escorted
I can
to the
imagine.
doors. They wanted to know what was in my trunk. And I'm like, but antidepressants is boring. Or
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
nothing's gonna make you high, dude.
Yeah.
You know, because we'd be asked, they'd approach us a lot, and they knew our cars, they knew what we looked like. They always said, "Oh, you're all blondes in black suits." Well, maybe we
Oh
were.
man.
I
That
think they've gotten more diverse now, for sure.
you could write something about that, because I mean, just the fact that you guys were targeted.
Oh yeah, there were a couple
Wow.
times I was afraid for my life. I mean, I was like,
Yeah.
you can take whatever in my trunk. Trust me, there's nothing here you want. You
Right.
know, it's not going to
Right.
get you high. I'd have to tell them. And then when I had Botox for migraine and spasticity, luckily we didn't carry the Botox, because those vials are a lot of money, and I would have been carjacked left and right.
Yeah.
And now I'm in dermatology, so I have non-steroidal creams for atopic derm and seborrheic dermatitis and psoriasis.
The heartbreak of psoriasis. I had that when I was a kid.
Did you? Are you all better now?
All better.
Oh, good. Yeah, I love it because it's a non-steroidal, and it's steroids really the use is so limited. You can only be on them for a very short time. Mm-hmm. So with our product, patients can be on it indefinitely.
So what do you
love dealing with the doctors.
Let me ask you about this beauty trend of Botox for cosmetic reasons.
Yeah. BBLs.
I'm starting to see like people that were taking Botox, and then all of a sudden, Goldie Hawn. See Goldie Hawn.
Don't get me started. Heather Locklear.
Is it that the skin has no more elasticity after a while, and it just says, "Forget it, I'm done"? What happens there?
Well, I hate needles, so I would not do that for as long as possible. I've never injected anything. Clearly, nothing in my lips. I was, blessed with high cheekbones. I'm good. But I've seen nightmares all over the place, whether it's lips, cheeks, fillers. And I agree with you to your point. Heather Locklear is someone we all grew up with. She was gorgeous. She has pillow face now. Who was in Harry Met Sally? She was adorable. Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan lately? I mean, her face is destroyed.
So if they would have aged naturally, I wonder if they would have been
much prettier.
Yeah.
Well, here's a perfect example. Priscilla Presley. Yeah. She was smoking hot.
Yeah.
And now she looks like a man. She looks like one of those. What do they sit on somebody's lap and you pretend?
Isn't she dead? She's dead. Michael Jackson's wife?
No, that's her daughter.
Oh, okay. That's right. Yeah.
Got to keep up on the Hollywood gossip.
You're Presley, Wow, that's sad.
So, I do think that makes a lot of women look crazy. They overdo it. I think a lot of women overdo fillers. I see that in my industry more, maybe. But I'm not on the cosmetic side. I'm on the medical. So I don't see that as much. But I bet the girls that call in the plastic surgeons, I can only imagine.
Well, I mean, I think about the BBLs, like, all the women, who are on the planes coming back from overseas.
Wait, BBL?
Yeah, that they get
Brazilian butt lift. They shoot.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I know, right? I mean,
yeah.
I just feel like you've got to be clinically insane to do something like that to your body. Oh, good Lord.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And there was a woman who got arrested because she was using Quickcrete and some other stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's insane.
Cement or that's nuts.
Anyway.
And there's horror stories of people going overseas getting those cheap BBLs and yeah.
I did want to say though, I got to go back in my childhood home. I don't know if you guys have ever been able to do that.
I would love to do that.
But I got word that it was for sale.
Okay.
So I was like, heck yeah, I'm going. And I got my friend Kate Richardson, one of my childhood friends from Shaker. And we went in and it was just, wow.
What was that like? Did you feel like a giant or how did it feel?
Yes, I did. And I also felt that I was very nostalgic. It was like bittersweet. It was exciting. Yeah. I called my dad right away and said, the basement's finished, Dad. Because we had wood beams in our basement. My dad, it's so funny because he was in the building industry.
Right.
It just, we never had time to finish.
It's usually the carpenter who doesn't.
Right. So my sister and I would roller skate in the basement, and it was never finished. And we had a huge air hockey table. Where my dad got that, I will never know. But we had a massive air hockey, and that was so fun. And I had the best record player, and I'm so mad my mom, we sold it, they got rid of it, whatever. I had the Sweat Hogs record player.
Oh, wow.
From Welcome Back, Kotter. I think I could be living large right now if I still had that to this day.
I'm saying.
All the Sweat Hogs on the front. I love that show. I don't know about you guys, but.
Let me tell you, you know what the first disc technology was?
What?
The close and play record player. Do you remember that?
I remember those. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Wasn't that who made those? Play School?
Fisher Price.
Fisher Price. That's it.
And then after that, the linear tracking turntable came in the 80s.
No kidding.
Then the CD came. Or maybe the laser disc and then the CD. Yeah.
Or wasn't it like 8-track and then cassette tape and then
Yeah.
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 Oh my God, we had so many 8-tracks, man. Barry Manilow.
I still listen to my CDs or what have you. I used to have all the Bee Gees 8-tracks. And you know how they would click, they would fade in and then fade up. I still do that in my mind when I listen to,
It was genius, right?
Yeah,
Technology, just like 8-track tapes. Who at my aunt and uncle's.
Who are your favorite bands? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
What concerts did you go to and who are your favorite bands?
My parents took us to Blossom. We were young and this is kind of funny. We went to see Sha-Na-Na. Do you guys remember that show?
Oh, yeah.
I just remember Sha-Na-Na.
Bowser and
they played at Woodstock.
Yes. And then we went to my first concert at Blossom, which I love Blossom. I was just there for an Earth, Wind, and Fire concert. It was epic. I hate to use that word. That's so whatever, but I said it. It was awesome.
At least you didn't say mint. That was mint.
Right. Or that was
or money.
Other buzzwords right now. Oh, that was sick.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So I went to Barry Manilow in 5th grade with Jenny Kelly. Hi, Jenny Kelly. One of my good elementary school buddies. And that was awesome for me. But as far as, you mean growing up, who did I like?
Yeah, like who did you, was there a band I remember Mel Arnwine in Shaker Day Camp, the bus would come.
Yeah.
And we sat and Mel asked me what group I liked and everyone liked Kiss. And I said, I like the Bee Gees. And they said, what? You like the Bee? I got so much shit about that. But I don't care. I still love the Bee Gees.
Yes. Growing up, my parents listened to like the Beatles, Carole King. I remember Kiss. I mean, my parents were Kiss for Halloween and with their friends, and it was amazing. Wow. I mean, they had the chest hair. My dad had the tongue. I mean, that picture's floating around. I think my brother has it. My
mom had cool parents.
Who did you like?
I grew up loving disco. I still do. I love the Bee Gees. I love Earth, Wind, and Fire. I love, Marvin Gaye. A lot of what my parents listened to too. I loved. And I loved in the 80s though at Shaker. In junior high we loved the Go-Go's. Journey, Loverboy. I love Journey and Loverboy. They came out around the same time.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Get Lucky, the Get Lucky album.
Oh yeah, with the red He had red leather pants.
Mike Reno, yeah.
Yes.
And the
Oh
head
my
thing.
God.
You should see him now. It's
I know. I don't think he aged
pretty
well.
sad.
I know.
It's a joke.
He was
But
such a cutie pie back
But we
then.
talk about that cultural exchange, but I remember like going to Sussex and watching the kids from the Woodbury area or the Sussex area. They had blended their musical tastes. But I was surprised to hear that Adam Siegel, he was the first white kid that I had learned liked black music, and he went to Earth, Wind, and Fire. I didn't know him, but I overheard him say that. So that was
Is
a mind-blowing
Adam the
thing.
one that worked at Corky's, which is another shout out to Corky and Lenny's. We miss you. I'm devastated you closed. Please come back.
He was.
We should have ordered some Corky and Lenny's merchandise.
Right?
Yeah.
I still have to order yours. I love the one with a little buggy that went up our driveways when we were growing up.
Oh, yeah. That's him.
My cousins, family, and friends in other states were blown away. They're like, wait, you have little baby trash trucks that come up your driveway every morning? Yes, we do. I mean, Shaker did have a reputation. I remember even being in Florida and people being, when I was young, you live in Shaker Heights? I'm like, yeah, why? Oh, wow. We've heard about Shaker. You know, we just well-to-do and all that.
They've got to fix those streets, man. I was really bummed out
I agree.
this summer.
Yo, Lee Road, Rapid Stop, that brick. They had like the brick.
There's
things.
sinkholes, or
demolished.
The slabs of concrete over by the Rapid Stop over near Shaker Square. You could look down into the earth.
Yeah.
Into those cracks.
I will say one thing about Shaker, though. My mom was a docent or that was the name for it, but it was like a leader at the Shaker Lakes Regional Nature Center.
Oh, yeah.
My mom's actually in a book. Her name comes up in the book written about the whole history of the Shaker Lakes Regional Nature Center and how they started classes for all the kids. And she would do tours and tree tours and all that. And one day they were on a bus and they had a bunch of inner city kids and they're driving down Shaker Boulevard. And this always just moved me. And the little boy says to my mom, why are there so many libraries in a row? And I just got chills. And I'm like, these are houses.
Yeah.
But this little boy from downtown Cleveland thought these were libraries. And I just thought, wow, how different people see the world. And he probably couldn't even believe that, like, those were people lived in these.
Yeah.
But those houses, a lot of them are massive.
Well, there are elevators, and I know there was someone, I forgot her name, or I don't want to mention it because I could be wrong, but she had an elevator in her house.
Oh, I remember somebody did around the duck pond. Remember the duck pond? Oh my God, you guys, those houses, they're in books. They're in coffee table books, right? Those made me feel poor. And we lived in like an average size Shaker Tudor, 3 bedrooms, made the attic into another bedroom kind of house. Yeah. Very average, right? You guys know what those houses like.
Really, very cut up too.
But my friends on Parkland, Roya Razai, her dad was a doctor at the clinic. Their house had like 7 chimneys. And I remember going over her house and just being like, oh, wow. Like you could fit 10 of my house in this house. Right. So even though people outside of Shaker looked at us all as like, oh, what a wealthy community. Funny, within the community, there were times I'd go to some of these friends' houses that were 3 times my house size and be like, oh, wow. I'm on the poor side of Shaker.
We were in the starter neighborhoods, the starter homes. Couldn't get out of the starter neighborhood.
Yeah, my friend Stacy DeBell lived on the other side of Avalon. So she used to always be like, I live on the other side of the tracks.
Other side of the tracks,
Yeah, I lived in Ludlow. Other side of the tracks, yeah.
And I was like, I don't see a difference. Big deal. Either side. Pick a side. Who cares?
Well, Fernway but the houses weren't that different. During the reunion, we went to Steve Duffett's house. It pretty much looked like our houses over in the Lomond area.
You won't believe it. I just saw Steve Duffett.
Oh yeah!
Shout out to Steve Duffett.
World. Yeah. I went over. We were like a bunch of people were watching the O State game, and I saw Steve Duffett, Jeff Grieco, Greg Fuller. I mean, it's a small world, right up on Chagrin. And I got to talk to Steve for a while. I knew him somewhat, but I knew his sister Lisa somewhat. Mm-hmm. She was a year younger than me, I think.
Shout out to Steve. And his
Yes.
knee. Hope his knee is getting better.
He seemed good that day.
What
Yeah.
happened? What happened to his knee?
He had a knee replacement.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
But
that's the
it's been
sport
quite a.
creeps up on you, doesn't it? I mean,
So.
How did that happen anyway? How do I'm like I need readers now? Like, really? It seems like yesterday we were just all, young and partying and we were invincible and had the rest of our lives ahead of us. I'd like to still think of us as all regular, somewhat young. I like to think that.
young
It's
at
all
heart.
about your neuroplasticity. So yeah.
That this is true.
Yeah.
And how much you drank in college and continued to from there.
Correct. Oh yeah. I mean, you have to admit, you see some people your age out there and you're like, whoa.
You know what the vast difference is when I
What?
go to concerts. Where did I just go see? Oh, I went to go see a Beatles tribute band.
Oh, where at?
I live in Rochester, New York,
Okay.
and they went. It was like Beatlemania. I saw Beatlemania where they went through different phases of their career. And man, usually when I go to regular concerts, in my mind they look like us when we were kids. Like I'll go see I don't know where I went to see ABC, and everyone is just old. They're in walkers.
Oh no, don't
and
say
and
that.
the Beatles thing, there were people like in wheelchairs. I mean, people that were 90, but I think a lot of that's attributable to the drugs that they were.
Could be, right?
So,
Oh yeah, and you
yeah,
can tell if someone's a heavy smoker. I smoked in college, but I quit because
yeah,
I looked
Good
at
for
my
you.
family tree, and any heavy smoker in my family was dead before 60. So
Yeah.
I quit in my late 20s, and we partied like rock stars in college and through our 20s. But now I'd say I just, moderation and, go to a cocktail party. I'm really lucky I didn't get the gene. I don't have
Mhm.
any issues. I can take it or leave it.
Yeah.
it takes a
So,
toll. Smoking and drinking
oh
takes a
yeah,
toll,
and you
and
can
I just
tell.
can't.
I am, I know people even close to me or neighbors or other people in your life, and you can tell. You can almost tell like
Yeah.
their lifestyle may not be as healthy or a little different. But God willing, we all live long and keep coming to class reunions. Like I don't know how much. What's the longest running Shaker reunion? Do you know? Is there like a 70-year,
Oh no.
65?
That's a good trivia question.
That is anyone out in the
Yeah.
podcast sphere know that answer?
Can you
Yeah,
imagine
sure.
those though? I mean, you wonder like how many people would show up, like
I'm saying.
right? Because that would make everybody in their 90s
Yeah.
or close to it. So, boy, my parents always win longest together because they got married in high school.
Okay.
So every time they go to the reunion, they always win longest married.
Oh wow!
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
And I'm
That's
I'm
cool.
on my second. My poor parents. They've been married forever. But Todd, Jenny,
Yeah.
and I all had 1 and 2 go arounds.
Well, you have the starter marriage.
I
Right.
did.
And
I had a
then
starter marriage.
yeah.
I
And then
literally.
yeah.
And now I'm in the right one. And same with my brother and sister. We all
Yeah.
landed
Yeah.
safely.
It's
But
all about the journey.
right.
Well,
You got to get it right.
a lot of us experience. I just experienced the pandemic gray divorce. That's a new buzzword I learned.
What is it called?
The gray divorce, but a lot of them happened during the pandemic because
Gray.
gray divorce. It's when you're in your 50s and
Okay.
get close to becoming pretty much the empty nester portion of your life.
Oh.
When you're
Aw.
forced to actually talk to your mate again after the
Gotcha.
kids leave the house, and
No,
then
I
you
gotcha.
realize that then the pandemic hit, so that became definite factor.
That happened with a lot of people, I think, and either that or there were a lot of animals adopted.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot.
I adopted 2.
You did, and you
Yeah.
didn't, and you still have them, right?
Yes, I still have my furry children.
Yeah, a lot of
Yes.
people, I think, did that very. They just didn't think, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden the pandemic's over, and they have no one to watch the dog, or no, it's a huge responsibility. They need
Yes.
people. Cats
You
are a
know,
little more independent. I love animals. I've had them. We're going to get more. Love having animals. And
Yes. A good energy.
Oh, without
I just thought of something. You know what another relationship divorce trend was?
what?
Facebook. When people
Yes.
started going back and finding
Oh
their
yeah. Oh yeah. I heard from a few, people from the past.
Oh, they were
yeah.
trying to
How you
holler.
doing?
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm proud to say I was probably one of the first people on Facebook that I got off it. Like, and I'm not saying it's not great, and it's great for this. And I will say, shout out to Greg Fuller. He was my booking agent for this.
Yes.
Mm.
Had I not run into him at an impromptu reunion in Shaker not long ago, I would have never known he was back in town because lifelong family friend. And also, I would have never known about you guys and this podcast. So I am living proof that you can live without Facebook if you need a break.
Mhm.
And I took one, and I'm not saying I'd never go back on, but I took a long needed break because I started calling it fake book.
Mhm.
Yes.
People were posting, oh, my life's perfect.
Of course, yeah.
And sadly, one of my classmates who probably had the happiest Facebook page you would ever see committed suicide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And to me, that was very telling.
Mm-hmm.
Her Facebook persona was very different.
Oh, by the way, we're mentioned in this book,
Who?
Shaker Heights.
In Tipping Point? Yeah. Remind me that because I have the book and I either haven't started it, finish it, or busy working mom. I don't have time to do anything.
This is the new book. Do you have so you have the new book or the old book?
This is the new one. This is the Revenge of the Tipping Point. It's like the 25th anniversary. It's about overstories, super spreaders, and the rise of social engineering. So it talks about technology. It talks about the opioid epidemic and how it started and how these trends take hold.
Oh, I have to read that, but I will say just real quick, you were talking about that epidemic earlier. I did know the OxyContin rep, and let me tell you, when shit went down, it was over. I mean, his territory was, they got rid of all the reps. They pulled all the reps out of the field.
Wow.
People were dying. I mean, it was awful. And I'm not saying it was their fault. They were doing their jobs. It was the providers. There was just a lot of abuse with providers.
The multinational corporations,
doctors, yes,
people over profits.
And you should see what really turned it around. I won't ruin the book, but it's pretty good, pretty insightful of how things can be changed and how things can be socially engineered on purpose and not on purpose. It's really good. Definitely.
In my career, I've seen a lot. Do you know I had lunch with a doctor plan one day? I called the office. They said, Laura, the SWAT team just surrounded the office and took the doctor out, and he's being deported.
Oh.
Wow. I was calling on pain doctors at the time for Botox for migraine. And this doctor was running a pill mill in Solon. And you can tell a pill mill from a legit doctor's regular office. The pill mill, their office is, the waiting room's teeny tiny. Everyone's sitting in there that looks like they're strung out. The odor is I can't even explain the odor. I mean, they're all strung out drug addicts sitting in his waiting room. They found millions of dollars in cash in his house. They took his house, the money, he and his wife and family, gone. Wow. It happened that quick.
Did you see that 60 Minutes? It was some years ago about the guy that had pretty much his clinic. He was running it out of Starbucks. He just set up a network. Yeah.
I did not know that.
And just recently, some NBA players got stung because they had a ring where they would write up. I guess it's hard to follow. What is it? Medicare, Medicaid, whatever. It's hard to follow the prescriptions. So you can set yourself up. And then if you have a doctor that's willing to write the prescriptions or write fake, I don't know.
It happens. It happens.
However, it works out. I can't put it together now, but they had a ring of NBA players that were faking. They were putting in they had some problem and they were saying that they were getting X-rays and stuff and MRIs, and they weren't. It was conducted the exact way that the opioid epidemic, but they weren't. They were just it was a billing fraud thing. So
Wow.
yeah, there was money passing hands through fake whatever with the dot. I don't know. I'd have to go back into it, but
Speaking
yeah.
of that, what did you guys think of the whole shaker when you guys were there, shaker scene? I never thought it was that horrible. Like, right at parties and we
I
drink
thought,
beer.
but thinking back, I think some people suffered from the adolescent drinking, like junior
Sure.
high. I mean, people were going to keg parties and just getting destroyed.
Yeah.
Going to Native Son, having people buy them stuff, and some people didn't come back from that.
Oh yeah, I'm sad to say there are some people from my class of the 86 that just either succumbed to drug addiction, may have
Yep.
died already, or they're one of my former classmates is living under a bridge in Las Vegas.
Mm.
And he used to throw some killer parties. So it's sad to see those classmates. I think we all had so much potential, and we all, let's not kid ourselves, we all had a pretty nice start, in Shaker, education, etc. I'm not saying everybody's lives were perfect by any means, but just it was quite a wonderful place to get started. And I saw a lot of that when I did social work. I realized how, wow. I mean,
Now, speaking of your social work,
yeah,
when I moved here, we moved to a community that was mirrored Shaker, Pinfield, and my kids went. And there's also an epidemic about mental health with kids. Like if our environment was so competitive,
yeah,
and we responded differently, but within the school district that my kids went to, and I'm going back to this book, man. This podcast is related
yeah.
back to the book. But within the course of like 3 years, there were 8 or 9 suicide or attempted suicides because of the high bar that was set for the kids. So, well, wow, it's funny how social work sort of dovetails with pharmaceuticals, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a miracle that I somehow made a quantum leap from one to the other. I don't know if you could do that today because it's hard to get in pharmaceuticals. So I got in when the getting was good.
Yeah, well, that's good. Sales.
Yeah, and I think with social work, you have to have a license now. I mean, I had a degree.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
So you have to have like a social work license.
LSW.
They threw us out to the wolves. I think they've made a lot of changes. I would go out in the company, social work car, out in the boondocks to houses where the women would open the door with 2 black eyes. And here's me, 23-year-old young woman. I walk in the door. The man's an abuser. I mean, crazy. And I had nobody with me.
Yeah, man. You could have been. Yeah.
I picked up crack babies from the hospital. I had a police escort. I had to go to houses in the middle of the night. And
how many years did you do that?
Too long, 4 or 5. And I had to go to houses in the middle of the night with the sheriff and ask the mom, you either choose the sexual perpetrator or the children, which is it? And then she picked the boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I'd have to go outside in the driveway, cry my eyes out, get myself together, go back in the house, get the kids, put them in the car. The sheriff would escort me to the foster home. I mean, it was like, whoa, coming from our cute little bubble life in Shaker. That was a trip. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to take all the kids home, though. I did. It was very painful. And I'm sure things like that happened in Shaker. I have a very unique memory, and maybe you guys remember this. We didn't see a lot, maybe, or hear about a lot of crime when we were little growing up, but I do remember one of my classmates' moms was killed by a man who came in the house and pretended to be, he said he was a TV repairman. That is a real memory from, I don't know what year in Shaker, but I know it happened, and I can't remember the name of the family, but I remember we were all shaken to the core when that happened.
Yeah, because the woman got her head smashed in with a TV or something.
Yes. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm freaking out a little bit.
Yeah, no.
I thought I dreamt that part up. That I read or heard that she was in the basement and he threw it down the steps on top of her or something, something like that.
Yeah.
Where was this? What neighborhood?
This was by the high school.
So that stuck in my memory my whole life, because that was probably the first and last time something that jarring and scary, to me at least, happened in Shaker.
Then there was Jerry Parche. He was found in the drainage ditch there by the Shaker Lakes. It was almost like River's Edge, that movie from back in the day. You want to go see a dead body, and you know the stoners and the burnouts.
Yeah.
And it was like the Pritz brothers that had killed him.
Oh my God.
And then there was a couple other like murders that Shaker liked, you know.
Well, how about that girl that was stalked going back and forth to school?
Yeah, that was the 90s or something.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a girl. It's funny, that article. I don't know why. I think I recently read it. There was a girl. Yeah, she came up missing. Big class of. Yeah, it wasn't long after we graduated, and it made national news. And she was. Yeah. It's just crazy, crazy. But I never remember a lot of police presence. I do remember police presence at some of our games, like basketball and football.
Yeah.
And one thing, speaking of race, that always perplexed me, younger wise at least, was the inner city, like guys from Shaw and John Marshall would come up, and we'd be sitting with like Courtney Brown, you know, and Mike Knight and the whole group, and they would not come up to us. They would go up to their fellow African Americans and say, "You're a white boy, you're a wannabe, you're preppy, you talk white, you act white."
Yeah.
And we would all stand there with our mouths open, like, "Wait a minute, aren't you supposed to be like up in our faces?" And I was actually very stunned by that, because I'm like, wait a minute here, you're all, you know,
be all on the same gang.
Correct.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't know if that happened to you guys ever, living in Shaker, you know, having kids from the periphery, calling you that.
All the time. Yeah.
Is that something you were familiar with?
Yeah. I didn't hang out. I knew that it was going on, but a lot of our folks, a lot of the kids were actually going out and provoking it too. So
no, there was a class. You know, I mean, it's that too, but there was also a class. It was a class thing. You know, it's a caste system. And there was a perception that if you were black and lived in Shaker, don't matter where, but they thought you were
a sellout.
You know, or bougie.
Sellouts. Yes.
Yeah. And I, you know, and every so often I come across somebody and I mention I'm from Shaker, and they happen to be from Glenville or someplace else. That comes up jokingly.
Oh.
I've experienced it here.
You're from Shaker.
Or, you know, they you know, the two responses. One was like, "Well, I'm from Glenville. I'm from the hood." I was like, okay. I mean, all right. And then, you know, somebody else was like, "Well, you're from Shaker," you know, whatever. So, yeah, it does carry, depending on who the audience, it does carry baggage that way.
That was something new to me back then.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I remember they call them polo boys. Like, look at you all in your polos.
But you know what's funny about the polo thing? You flash forward about 15 years later, in New York, you had these two crews of guys, mostly called the Lowlifes and the Decepticons. And they were all about the polo swag.
Oh.
That's all they wore. And some of them, they would have these meetups. They would, you know, obviously go, you know, rob a store, or the trucks that would pull into Macy's or what have you. But that's all they wore. And
oh, no kidding.
So the irony of back in the day, if you did encounter that wearing polo or, you know, Izod and being called that, and then 15 years later, these are the things that are held in high esteem now. These are the things that are cool, especially the polo stuff.
Yeah.
And Ralph Lauren was not very happy about that, I hear.
Who is it?
Initially,
Ralph
you know,
Lauren.
I mean, they were slow to embrace it, but then they came around, because it's always about the dollar.
And we were a preppy school, were we not? We were a preppy school.
Yeah.
I wore button-down Oxfords. I don't dress like that now, but button-down Oxfords with like little bows. The girls will remember. We have these little bows, and then I had every color corduroy you can imagine. We go to this, like on Shaker Square. They had a big clothing store with jeans and corduroys. Remember corduroys?
Yes.
Come back. I love corduroys, like bell bottoms.
Remember when the Gap was affordable?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was almost like a consignment secondhand store, you know,
Right?
when they first came out with that.
But I wanted every color corduroy and every color Izod. You know, my mom would be like, "Hello, I got to take 3 of you school shopping."
So
But
what was that sweater? You know, the sweater that you women wore that had like
Lorenzo,
they had like the print design, like looked like doily.
My girlfriend
Do
was
it.
telling me about that.
Yeah,
I
like
think it was
doily.
Forenza sweaters. I don't know. That
Okay.
was really in the 80s.
Yeah.
They were, I don't know if that's the right one, but Forenza sweaters, obviously, as you guys know, huge permed hair, which I had, and spritzer and scrunchies. And oh my God, me and my friends love the Go-Go's. So we would try to, dress like they did. And
Did
yeah.
you ever dress like, especially, well, Madonna was what?
Oh yeah. Loved
Yeah.
Madonna.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I had the rubber bracelets and the whole nine. Loved Madonna. Yeah, I loved all kinds of music, and I loved talk about diversity. And Eric, you made a point, I think, about being exposed to other types of music. I loved, Keith Sweat, still do. Keith
Yes.
Sweat,
Yeah.
the Vert, of course, Levert.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Keith
Sean was
Sweat.
in my
Lord
math
help
class.
you. Lord help you with Keith
Sean
No,
was in my math class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Mr. Massad. I don't know
Well,
if you had him for
Keith
math.
Sweat and Gerald Levert had a super group together.
Yes, they did. Yes, it was
Yeah.
called LSG, and I produced their promo spots.
Levert, Sweat, and who was the other?
It was Johnny Gill.
Johnny Gill from
LSG.
Love Johnny Gill.
Yeah.
Love New Edition. Wasn't
Yeah.
he a new? We used to love New Edition. If it
Ronnie,
is
Mickey.
love, why does it feel this way? Why does she stay on my mind? Yeah,
Bobby.
I love New Edition.
Yeah.
Keith Sweat, I loved. We went through that phase in like 10th grade. Who else did we listen to?
You know the white kids love. They would go to Blossom and see Al Jarreau.
Oh,
I remember
love
Danny
him.
Click
After all,
loved
that is
Al
one of the best
Jarreau.
songs ever.
I was like, what is this? They like
Al Jarreau's the man.
MSB and Al Jarreau. Those were Spyro Gyro.
Spyro Gyro.
Danny Glick.
But going back to like Roxanne.
Yes.
I mean,
UTFO.
that was a huge part of our growing up.
Yeah.
I know every word to that song. And then it was like, remember that song, Roxanne?
Yeah. I'm going to be your man.
Right, exactly. Did you meet him at the beach? Hell no. In the middle of the winter when it's 20 below? Oh, and what about this one? Hotel, motel, holiday.
Yeah, everyone knows
Yes.
that
Your girl starts acting up, then you bring a friend.
Yes.
What was that? Who is that?
No,
that
then you
was,
take her friend, isn't it?
Take
her friend.
That was Sugar Hill Gang.
Sugar Hill Gang. Yeah.
Who was it?
The Sugar Hill Gang.
Oh, the Sugar Hill Gang. Oh, yeah. And they were like one of the, oops, sorry, my lighting's bad. Okay. They were one of the pioneers.
Yeah.
Right? Because the Sugar Hill Gang was
they
like
commercialized it.
Rap.
Yeah.
Who was
Sylvia
the woman
Robinson?
Sylvia Robinson. And what group was she with before? I just saw that. She was with a girls group.
Yeah, I forget. Yeah, I don't know offhand, but yeah.
I loved having exposure to so many different types of music. And again, if it weren't growing up in Shaker, I may not have had that. And we jammed at parties to everything, for what it's worth, the pop tunes, the rock tunes.
Yeah.
I remember people in our school loved was it Rush?
Yeah.
And I wasn't a big Rush fan.
Genesis.
I didn't like them until recently.
And Yes.
I hated Geddy Lee's voice.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I just saw Yes.
You did?
In spring. Well, John Anderson and a band that played Yes.
Beastie Boys. We loved the Beastie Boys. That was like freshman year at Kent State, I think, when that really hit.
Yeah, that was college, yeah.
But yeah, there were so many groups. I can't even think of some right now that I still listen to on the radio, and I love.
Genius of Love by the Tom.
Who sang that
Club.
one?
Tom Club.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that one. It was like I'm in heaven.
Yes. With my boyfriend,
my lucky boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Genius of Love.
Yes. Who else?
We took cocaine and we went insane.
Yes. Oh my God, my best friend at the time, Stacy. Oh, she loved them. That she introduced me to the Tom Tom Club.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Blondie's song came out with?
Oh, I loved Blondie.
What was
Always
that?
loved Blondie.
Sequence, yes. Ding, ding, dong.
Oh yeah,
Blondie. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
and she even tried a little. Geez, she even tried a little rapping herself.
yeah,
Remember?
That's when the
Rapture.
genres came. Yeah, Rapture. That's
yeah.
Yeah,
when they started
that
the
was a trip.
Fat Five
79.
Freddy. Fat Five Freddy.
What was it?
1979. I'm just kicking off a lyric. Fat Five Freddy.
That
Yeah.
sounds really familiar.
Yeah.
I also, wanted to say I'm sorry we lost. Speaking of music, that we lost the Levert brothers.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
very sad, and all I could think about was their parents. Like, what a tragedy.
No,
You don't
totally.
plan on
He
losing
outlived
any
all his
child.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie outlived all of his kids.
Yeah, let alone two of your sons,
Yeah.
And it was a trip to, I'm like, oh my gosh, I knew Sean to a degree. I mean, not super well.
Yeah.
And I knew of his brother, his older brother,
Yeah.
who actually made it pretty big.
Huge.
Yeah.
Right?
I had English class with Gerald, and at the time, people still would make fun of him. This is before he dropped his album, and he
they like, oh, you're never gonna make it, or
yeah, they were making fun of him, and he just said, "Watch, I'm gonna blow up. Watch."
Oh my gosh. Did you see him outside of like high school, or were you guys friends with him, or?
I did his promo spots when he was on Elektra Records. So whenever he had an album, I would do the like In Store Now video. I remember I had to meet him out in LA, and we had to do this video, and it was like in a gang. I forget what gang neighborhood it was, and this is daylight, of course. But the crew was reading the graffiti on the wall, and they were like, "Yo, we gotta be wrapped out of here by like such and such a time. This is such and such a territory."
Oh.
And yeah, I'll send you the link to the promo spot I did for him. But
that'd be super cool.
But that's I would see him in those settings, and everybody else would be like, "How do you know each other?" And it was just like, "Oh, we went to high school together."
Did you know who I am?
Did either of you know John Meadows? Black
I know
kid, played
he's
drums.
a musician, right? Yeah.
Is he? I wonder what happened, because that was the only time I met Gerald. We were at an ATM over on Lee Road, over by the movie theater, and John Meadows was like, "Hey man, I know you. I went to high school with you." Blah 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 blah. And he was like, "Yeah, whatever."
Yeah.
That was
I remember he used to drive around.
Peabody's. You're speaking of the Cedar Lee Theater.
Cedar Lee.
I love that theater.
Still there, alive and well.
Good.
But I remember Caddy Corner was Peabody's Down Under.
Yes.
And we'd all party there, a little later. But
and guess what?
You could go in and look down and see the bands.
Well, Peabody's Down Under. That's where I saw the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I used to go see them before.
Oh, they played
really
there?
Hit. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
They were just at Blossom not long ago.
Yeah.
What about as far as like, remember our high school bands, right? There was like the Janglers.
I don't know who that.
You don't remember them?
No, and I really know.
Was anybody in a band in your class of '84?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think Haven, Attic.
An Attic.
Oh my God, I remember.
Discrepancy.
It's so weird to hear those words after so long.
Yeah. We're gonna have Todd Lane on the show in January.
I know that name, right? What year?
Yeah, he's still doing Haven.
No,
they're called New Haven.
New Haven.
Where are they out of? Are they
LA.
Out in LA?
Yeah.
And in New York, probably. I mean, do you guys have any friends in New York from '84 or from Shaker?
A few here and there.
Eric?
Yeah.
My parents lived in Manhattan for like 8 years.
Okay.
So we lived vicariously through them. I was there all the time.
Wow.
I love New York City. So I was like, hello, New York. I'm living vicariously through my parents.
Yeah.
And I loved it. The Upper East Side, it was great. Just
when did they move?
Shockingly, my dad had an offer with Gilbane for the 5 boroughs to do buildings. So
wow.
they were in there. They were in their like early 60s. And
Okay.
they fell in love with it. Shows, the subway, the whole nine. I was like, Dad, are you sure you want to do this now? He's
Mhm.
like, oh yeah. And they loved it. And I loved going and seeing them and my friends and my husband. I mean, just, it was great. But they got used to it and loved the whole scene.
Oh yeah.
You
Uh,
know, you and your husband should try this.
hmm,
Take Amtrak up to New
yeah.
York. It's a
Oh yeah.
12-hour ride. Yeah. You can get one of the roomettes. And then there's a train that goes from uh, New York to Montreal, I believe. And it's in the fall. And you were in the car that has the see-through top.
Really?
And yeah, look
Nice.
up Amtrak Vacation up the Hudson. You will love it. You'll love it.
Does it take off from downtown?
It takes off like you would take the train from Cleveland to New York, and
Okay.
then New York up there and up into Canada along the Hudson.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love trains, and Lord knows I haven't been
yeah.
on one in a long time. I took a train from Cleveland to Florida once.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the auto train.
Yep. And
Yeah,
that was a blast. But I haven't done
yeah,
that in so long, and it's amazing how glorious it can be. I
yeah,
fly often, but because we love to travel, and I do travel for business sometimes. But I do not love it.
yeah,
I usually have to
yeah,
sedate myself.
yeah.
So if I don't have to be on a plane up in the sky, a
Mhm.
train sounds amazing and safe and wonderful.
And the roomettes, if and that was one of the things I noticed. The roomettes, if they're booked in Cleveland, are
What are they
way
called?
like roomettes,
Like,
room and the ETTES.
you mean like
Amtrak.
the little mini
Yeah,
rooms you
yeah,
stay in?
yeah. On the
Okay.
train. Yeah,
Okay.
you can get one. It's like a twin bed. You have a bathroom. I call it like the prison bathroom. And you'll have a lounge chair. You have the big bay window. The little roomettes just have the cantilever bed and like two chairs that face each other, and the little prison toilet. But from Cleveland to Penn Station, it's like 12 hours. That's the way to do it up there.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you can make your connection and go on the
I didn't
Hudson.
even think of like taking a train to New York.
Yes, yes,
Oh, because we just went to see Billy Joel's 100th concert at
yeah.
Yeah. Madison
the
Square
Garden.
Garden.
We
You
decided
would,
on a Tuesday. We left on a Thursday.
yeah,
Flew out, went to
yeah,
it, flew back home Saturday morning. It was months back, but it was so fun.
yeah.
And I love New York City, and people were warning me like, "Oh, it's changed. The
It
homeless
has
is
changed, but you
worse.
just got to be smart about it. That's
The
all.
rats are bigger, and people are getting punched."
Yeah, I mean,
There was
it's
an
it's it's
epidemic where people
yeah,
were running around punching people in the face.
yeah. I mean,
So,
no, the crime is, especially in certain parts, the crime is up and about, and you stick out. So yeah, you just have to exercise,
well, for
situational
what it's
aware.
worth, we stayed on the Upper East Side, and I saw no rats, no homeless people, and I didn't get punched.
Okay, well that's yeah,
So, but then
some
we
parts
also found out the president was in town, so they might have cleaned things up a bit.
probably so,
You know,
How
probably
long?
so.
How long has Billy Joel been? He's been doing that a while. That residency at Madison Square
it was his
Garden,
100th concert there, and
and
I think he's like 80 or 81.
he's touring with Sting, which is going to be
I
kind of
love
weird.
Sting. When you guys were asking about who you like growing up, I love the Police.
Police. Oh man,
I had such a crush
that's
on
so
Sting
defining.
and the
Yeah,
drummer too. I had a crush on
Stuart Copeland.
Sting and the
Yeah.
drummer.
Yeah, son of a
We lucked
CIA agent.
out. We grew up with a lot of great movies, a lot of great fun music. I think so, at least, and
Well,
maybe I'm biased.
People has this magazine out, the '80s, and I was just thumbing through it, thinking, "Man, that was
Really?
the
Where's
best
that
time to
at?
grow up." You can find it at any grocery store, what have you.
Oh, really? No
Yeah, you
kidding.
should check it out. It's it's like a little scrapbook of very fond memories.
Well,
Very
bar
fun.
none, I tell people I grew up in the best era for movies. I remember not being able to decide whether to see Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles. I mean, the list goes on. Outsiders. I mean, there were just so many fun coming of age movies.
Yeah,
And now
yeah.
I feel like it's either superhero or horror. There's like very
Well,
few like chick flicks. I don't feel like there's anything out there anymore.
you know what's gone?
What?
Not the rom com, sitcoms. Sitcoms are gone. The only
Pretty much.
sitcoms are the animated sitcoms. where they're very gross. They're very risque. But I
Yep.
think there's one about a school, but everything else is like hospital or police drama. And we look for stuff to watch, stream, and we see just murder mysteries or some psychotic thriller. I get sick of it. I don't want to be stressed when I'm watching a show. I want something that,
Right?
yeah,
Oh, that is so true. And it's also a matter of, you know, uh, to your point, there's a ton of streaming and there's a ton of, so maybe the movie theaters and the movies are just not as much, right? Because everybody's finding it on streaming,
It's a
yeah,
constant battle.
what they want to watch, or I don't know. It
Yeah.
just kind of makes me sad because I'm like, wow, I love going to the movies still, but I'm always like, God, it's so limited what's out there. And
Yeah.
now it's Netflix and Prime, Amazon Prime and
do you
Apple.
think the quality's go? Why is that, Gabe? My friend who works in Hollywood worked on The Last Joker. He said that only 40% of Hollywood is employed. Like they're constantly.
Do you think that's true?
It is. He's been out there. He's been in the industry. He does sets.
Okay.
Well, I
For
mean,
about
the
30 years.
strike, the pandemic and the strike impacted a lot of work, a lot of productions. A lot of productions are not being shot in California because of tax credits and they're being shot in other places. So again, everything also comes down to who are you tapped into, whose team, crew, especially when it comes to production companies and producers. And so, a lot of indie stuff, it really depends.
Well, he's saying that the quality is way down.
Well, I mean, to me, that's you got to quantify quantity in terms of storytelling, in terms of how it is visually, or the types of stories. Well, I mean, it's again, that is varied as the ocean.
Sorry, I'm here.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want to say for me, if you're saying the quality is going down, I'm going to say for me, my perspective on that is it's the storytelling and the types of movies that are.
Yeah, the story, and that's what I get at. The storytelling is pretty much the same.
Do you think they're going to make a comeback? Do you think movies are ever going to?
I mean, movies are never going to go anywhere. They're just going to continue to evolve, and it's really about the stories and what
I shouldn't say comeback, but just it seems like nice if there was more variety and more in the theater. I just love still going to the theater. I even love Cedar Lee still.
Yeah.
If there's some interesting films showing there.
Sure. I don't think there's a lot of risk taking. There's not a lot of variety because
no. I mean, it's superhero, like you said earlier, superhero movies, or it's a remake of this or that, and I mean,
you're getting older when there's a Footloose too.
Yeah,
that was one of my favorite movies of all time. I will admit it. Maybe it's cheesy, but I love all the movies we grew up with. Footloose is one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. Just there's so many, and you see them sometimes on TV late night flipping. I'm like, oh my God, the original Footloose.
How about Beetlejuice, Top Gun, Beetlejuice?
Top
I mean,
Gun,
it's all reboots.
That came a little later. Yeah. But yeah, Footloose I came across it not long ago, and I was like, wow, that was one of my faves, and it was just so fun to hear the soundtrack. I had the soundtrack in my Walkman. Yeah. Remember Walkman? I mean, do those exist anymore?
Yeah, no, they're coming back. I mean, there's different companies that are making like retro Walkmans.
Record players are back.
Yeah.
It's like everything's making it kind of circling back a little bit.
Yeah.
Pac-Man. I mean, you still see that ever. I used to love playing Atari and Pac-Man
Atari.
And Pong. Remember Pong? I mean, so you look back and it seems so prehistoric but it was so fun.
Yeah.
This day, I still think Pong is the bomb. Or Space Invaders. They get to the bottom and they're going real fast and you start to panic.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God,
Yeah, Space Invaders.
I see a lot of those in places still that they're selling them again.
Yeah.
And then I remember there was in television that came after Atari.
Yes.
It was supposed to be like a competitor.
The next level in terms of the graphics and the games and the cartridges.
Yep. And I used to, just for the sake of talking about our retro discussion, I loved MTV back in the day. We were also the generation, we were the MTV generation. It's never been the same, never will be. They launched it when we were all coming of age. It was awesome.
Yeah, and that's when music got desegregated. I didn't even realize how segregated until hearing stories afterward of how hard it was for Michael Jackson to get.
Yeah, that was Tommy Mottola.
I don't think I was aware of that. It was hard for him to get like Thriller and Billie Jean and all those on MTV.
Epic said if they did not take Michael Jackson's videos, that
he was the king for real.
Yeah, they wouldn't give him access to all the rest of their artists, so they acquiesced.
Yeah,
you know what came along though? We all know, right? Things started to evolve.
Yeah,
Yo MTV Raps.
Yeah,
there he is.
Remember that? We were like, we were all like, yes.
Yeah.
Because we loved that music. So someone must have spoken up and said, hey, there's not enough diversity on MTV.
Well, Gabe was on the ground floor of that. He was an intern.
I worked on Yo MTV Raps from 92 to 94 to the end. And
are you serious?
Yeah.
So you met who? I can't even imagine who you got to meet.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you throw out a name.
DMC?
Yes, I have autograph.
Man, I love Run DMC.
I have autograph items from them. Yeah.
My Adidas.
Yes.
Hi, Top or Low.
Yes.
We would jam to those songs.
Up on stage at Live Aid, and the people.
Were you hearing about freak out parties back then? Were they out?
No, that was before Puffy's rise.
Oh, isn't that tragic? What's happening? They're
all falling. The industry has always been degenerate. You know, it's just about, you know, who it was, you know, who's involved.
And I loved R. Kelly's music, by the way. I Believe I Can Fly is one of my favorites in the whole, or my favorite songs ever. And it's like got it now, the connection, the tragedy of that. And then now Puff Daddy's all over the news, and we're like, what? Like,
rock stars have been doing crazy stuff like that for a long time, especially adopting 14-year-olds and having sex with them and taking them on the road. We just never talked about it. Bill Wyman.
Mick Jagger has a 2-year-old. He's too old to pick it up.
Yeah.
Who else?
He's 80.
Steven Tyler had a 14-year-old girlfriend that he pretty much adopted her so that they're
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well,
that
did ruin his career. It ruined it, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
He was a pedophile.
But you know, the industry.
Well, don't you think it just takes one person? Like, right? There was a gal that spoke up against P. Diddy, and then it just took off like wildfire.
I think it was a cataclysmic, a bunch of different things we're starting to hear.
I can't believe that stuff. I don't want to believe it's true. I want to believe that there's good in everyone. But then you see that video and it's like, wah, wah.
I mean,
Puff. Of him beating that woman and kicking her and dragging her.
Puff was enabled. I mean, it was enabled and tolerated, you know, and you got, you know.
Did anything. You're right. No one ever spoke
up.
You
made too much money. People turn their backs when you're making money.
Yeah, and also there's, you know, fear, fear. But Puffy, I mean, ever since 1991, the tragedy at City College, New York, where I forget, it was either 9 students were trampled to death because he helped put on a show that overbooked the gymnasium.
Oh no!
And you know, he had Shine take the fall for him for shooting the gun in the club, and so he's had a background of things. I always said Puffy has a bunch of tombstones that follow him, and
he's being held, right? He's not getting out because they believe he was threatening witnesses.
Yeah, he's still being held down there at the MDC in Brooklyn.
I can't even imagine what that is like for him.
Yeah, you know,
going from life to that.
I saw a video of his like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and it was like when it was one of his Instagram videos, and he was in his gated community, and he was getting stopped by the security, because he was playing music too loud, and he acquiesced. But as he's driving off, he's like, "Yeah, fuck you, these motherfuckers. I'm I'm Puff, whatever he calls himself. I'm the king of this motherfucker."
Remember when he hung out with Biggie? Weren't they best friends?
They were friends, but
he was,
depending on who you.
Yes, he was, because he wrote that song, Puff Daddy, or P Diddy. He's had all these names. He wrote that song about Biggie when he got shot.
Yeah.
Oh, and, Sting, yeah.
Sting is laughing to the bank.
Right, and they were feuding with Tupac.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff behind there, but that's another story.
More to come. Stay tuned.
Right, more to come.
Yeah.
Listen to us. We're giving them airtime.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
We're giving a little airtime.
So
yeah, I was so excited to be a part of this, and I'm so glad I found out about it, because I will always feel very, I have so many fond memories of Shaker, and we have so much in common, even if we don't know one another, just because that's where we came up, and our experiences, and even hearing other podcasts. And sometimes it sounds like we're all clones, right? We're talking about Sands Deli or Grey Drug or, Master Pizza or the bowling alley. We have all those same memories, forever. And the Rapid, oh my God, I haven't been on a Rapid in forever, but I remember it was 13 cents when I would take the Rapid.
Yeah.
We all love the Rapid. I still do. I think it's still amazing. And it's just, I always say to anyone I meet who is not from Shaker that it was the most wonderful place to grow up, and diverse, and like no other place really, sadly, where we all just existed in harmony, in my opinion, and had a grand old time. And maybe we were just oblivious. Ignorance is bliss. But it was just, to me, it was a wonderful place to come up. And I feel very blessed. And I'm lucky I'm close enough. I'm 20 minutes up the highway from Chagrin. So I call on doctors in Shaker too.
Okay.
One at my old doctor building, right there on the corner across from the new Van Eken Center. It's kind of like surreal to walk in there, because I'm like, this is where my pediatrician was, my brother and my sister and I.
Yeah.
And it's still standing, and it's still a medical building, but it's just dermatology. And some memories still exist here and there, right? The plaza across from the new plaza is still there, where Draegers and Noggins and all that were. I wonder how much longer that's going to be there.
Right.
I was very sad about Pearl of the Orient closing, by the way.
Me too.
And I just heard Huff Bakery, the one that made the comeback,
Archie?
they just closed again.
Yeah. The rent got raised on Archie's Huff Bakery.
But I visited a few times when they opened. I was so excited. So we just share so many of the same memories, and it's just been. I don't know if I worked at Sands though. Almost everyone I know did.
Yeah, I worked there.
I worked around the corner at almost like a Flo's Diner. I worked there, and I loved it, and because I could go up and pour everybody's coffee, and I was right up at the counter. That was right around the corner from Sands. But sadly, my bike got stolen. Where we started with this talk, my Fun Fair bike was stolen from there. I'm like, oh, that's when things started to change.
You know who stole it though? Richard Bertman. He stole it.
Was the food any good at yours truly? I never really.
I thought so, and I still think so. The prices have skyrocketed, but they've stood the test of time, right?
Yes, they have.
There's truly out here in Wilton Mills.
Yeah.
Remember
good hamburgers. A mini one on Chagrin.
Yes. You know what's come back? Swenson's.
It's hard to get out that on the road from that one.
Yes.
Remember ice cream place Swenson's that used to be?
Yeah, they have the best burgers with a little olive on them.
Yeah. Now they've retroed them, and last time I was in Cleveland, they were all over Cleveland.
They are all over because I see them out.
Yeah, like was it on Green Road? No, on
There's
Cedar.
One on Chagrin. There was one on Chagrin.
I think Cedar near Legacy.
Oh, I'm hungry now. I feel like I want some.
Same here. I'm
when you're
you want to hear something funny? I came home and I didn't want to eat. It was too late. And then I went on IG and there was a Slyman's commercial that came up. I had to get up out of bed and go get something. It was so tantalizing.
Did the one at Hillcrest close? Is it called Pinecrest? I'm sorry. The Pinecrest.
Slyman's? I don't know if I don't know. I didn't notice it
I
when
didn't
I was
notice
there
it
in
either.
July.
Because it's back there, but I've never tried Slimans, so I've wanted
Yeah.
to. But I've always been a Corky and Lenny's.
Oh yes, it's still there.
I'm a cheerleader for them.
Yeah.
And there was a Shaker alum that managed it. His last name was Siegel.
Okay.
And he was one of the managers. But I would cater lunches from there for my doctors, or if I didn't have a lunch, I'd go in there and get the mishmash soup.
Mm,
But I remember my
nice.
dad. I have a lot of fun memories of my dad taking us to Corky and Lenny's. He loved Corky and Lenny's.
My mom loved it too.
Yeah, and I do too occasionally. The mishmash soup was my favorite. But my dad also used to have a memory of him taking us to Cleveland Heights to an Arthur Treacher's.
Those are coming back.
We go to
Oh,
Arthur Treacher's.
Arthur
We have
Treacher's
those
fish and chips. Yes.
That's coming back to Cleveland Heights. I saw it. We
That's
have
what
some
I
in
heard.
we have some in Rochester that are connected to a pizza.
I love Arthur Treacher's.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, think about it. Growing up in Shaker, there
Yeah.
weren't a lot of fast food restaurants, and I don't think they wanted any in Shaker. Remember, there was
No.
the Wendy's, the
They
infamous.
had to make it, and they had to make it out of real Tiffany, and they couldn't do anything with the architecture, which they've changed now. But yeah,
But Wendy's
never,
has changed 2 or 3 times now, the look.
Yeah.
But it's
Shrimp
still there,
boat.
shockingly.
Shrimp
That's the
boat.
one fast food
Yeah.
place I think we had for, because it was just it didn't fit right in the
Yeah.
Shaker look.
Shrimp boat was right near the border.
I got
I
food
remember
poisoning from
the
that.
where was that?
That was in the hood.
Where
Yeah, it was
was
right
it?
near the border, like Kinsman
Harvard.
and 154th.
Kinsman, yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember that restaurant. Well, we used to go. Did you guys ever go to E&J's?
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
see what it looks like.
It
but
was
I-
E&J
down
Liquors.
Chagrin. You'd cross over
Yes.
Lee, past the library.
Yeah.
If you're standing looking out from what used to be the library, it's to the right. We'd head down there every Friday. That guy would sell us anything.
And you
We
get
were
an armed
crazy.
escort in the back in the parking lot if you need be.
We were 14, 15 years old. We'd go buy Old English, Colt 45. He would sell all that to us. And we'd be like, what?
Speaking of Colt 45 and Old English, that is a great brine for fried chicken.
Really?
Yes, you should try it.
Ooh, that
Yeah.
sounds delish.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love a fried chicken. Who doesn't love fried chicken? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So if you want to do it up different, do it. Yeah. Get a bottle of OD or Colt 45 or Mickey's.
Well, thank
Any
you
of
for
those
the tip.
heavy. Yeah. Any
Mickey's
of those
Big
heavy.
Mouth?
Yeah. Any of those heavy.
You ever drink Mickey's Big Mouth and you try to get the quizzes on the inside of the lid, the cap?
No, I never went that far with Mickey's. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever get a Mickey's pack,
Yeah.
you open I'm not a huge beer connoisseur. I prefer like wine or spirits of sorts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like a good old whiskey sour. That's so retro.
What about Night Train or Thunderbird?
I don't know those. What are those?
Oh, you should try.
What is it?
They're
Kool-Aid
sweet.
with liquor in it.
Yes, they're sweet.
Oh,
Boone's
okay.
Farm.
Yeah. Yeah. If you like sweet wine, and also
like
Ripple.
I like Prosecco. And that's a
Prosecco is like Ripple.
Oh, Ripple. Oh, now you're
Yes.
making me think of
Fred Sanford, right?
Fred Sanford.
Yes,
Yes.
right.
That's another thing. The soundtrack of our lives was not just music. It was all those. I could win any trivia contest with any sitcom tune.
Yeah.
You know what the first wine cooler was? Well, there was
What?
wine coolers. Those were our drinks when we were coming out of.
Oh my God, we drank wine coolers to the point where
Boone's Farm.
Remember Zima? That was
Boone's
the first.
Farm, yes.
Yes. Zima. Yes. Yes.
Oh
Zima.
yeah, and those were so sickeningly sweet.
Yeah.
But yes, we went through our wine cooler phases at Shaker, and you drink 3-4 of those, and you're sick as a dog. At least I was. I could never keep up with everybody.
You can make a simple syrup out of those too now.
Oh
Just
yeah.
saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try
That's
I think the fried chicken thing sounds great.
Yeah.
I want to try that for sure.
Yeah. So definitely.
Yeah. That's
all right. Well, we are at the 2 hour and 13 minute.
We
What
are?
are the time? Yes.
Is that how long they go?
Look at
No,
the time.
they've gone longer or
Not this long.
Not this long.
No.
Yay! So I have 2 things. I'm the first person who their iPod battery died and had to hop back on, and then going long, which I think that's a good thing.
Oh yeah, I mean this conversation explode. I mean,
we could just go on and on, right? I was again thrilled to be here, you guys, and I hope to meet you both in other capacities, whether it be Shaker, big 10-year reunion, all 10 years come.
Yeah. Probably crash your reunion.
Something like that. And it's always fun to see faces and friends, run into them here and there. And there's always that chance because I'm in and out of Shaker a lot. And yeah.
And we're gonna in the new year we're gonna experiment with guest hosting. So yeah, we'd like to.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned that to me before.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
you just have to help me out with like the questions and stuff.
So who would you recommend?
Be a natural.
Who would you like to see on the show? That's
that's the last question. Yeah, we asked. Yeah, who would you like to see on the show?
You mean who would I like to see on the show, like as a guest or a coach?
Yeah, as a guest.
I would say,
Like spin it out.
Well, there might be some nepotism going on here, but I think my brother would love it.
Oh, we're definitely bringing him on.
Oh yeah. Well, for the baseball episode,
he's gonna. I think I might have mentioned that to him when I kind of gave him a little lowdown about that I had met you guys and there was a huge baseball thing going and
we can just have him on singly and then bring him back again. That would be cool.
Yeah, I think he would love that. So I guess a little nepotism going on there. So. But I think Stacy DeBell, she's a dear friend. I think she grew up on Avalon. I think she'd love to jump on. She's another 86er. My sister, here I am. I'm talking about my whole family. My sister Jenny, class of 87, grew up loving Shaker too. Oh, geez. I'm trying to think. I don't want to put people on the spot.
Yeah.
Why not? Oh, you know who else I recommend? Michael Knight.
Okay.
You know the Knights? He had a couple older sisters.
Yeah.
They lived on Scottsdale.
Herman Knight. He was coach at he played kickball with us. He was the skipper.
Are you serious?
Yes. He was the skipper.
Yeah, I know Michael had multiple siblings.
Yeah.
And one was like a pager for the president one year. I know he had a couple much older sisters. He was class of 86 too. We all hung. A ton of us hung out together on and off. And I had gotten reacquainted with, it's funny how you get reacquainted in these impromptu reunions. He had said something up on Facebook and he unfortunately didn't make the reunion and he planned it. He owns like a painting company and he got stuck in a vineyard or something. But ironically, it brought more people together and other people together, which was fun. So it's fun to, see faces that, maybe you didn't know back then, but we all kind of had a very similar journey, Shaker journey, in a sense that we grew up in the same place. But I know they could, like your title says, experiences may vary.
Yes, indeed. Well, on that note, Laura McKelvey, class
I love the music. It's so great.
Thank you for going down memory lane with us on another episode.
Go class of 86.
Shaker Heights. Experiences may vary. Tune in on Sunday or after Sunday. We have Dave Richmond. You'll find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Podcast Index, and YouTube. Thank you all for watching.
Bye,
Until next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, we are